Chapter 2174. Qin Feiyang bowed and said, "Senior, please tell me about the dragons. Then answer me first. Why do you want to know about the dragons?" The Vice Pavilion Master asked. Qin Feiyang was silent. "If you don't tell me, I won't tell you," the Vice Pavilion Master said. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, I'll tell you. Actually, I have a grudge against the dragons." "What?" The Vice Pavilion Master stood up. Shengguan Xiao was also shocked. He had a grudge against the dragons? The Vice Pavilion Master asked, "You're asking about the dragons because you want to take revenge on the dragons?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Then, I can't tell you. Because the strength of the dragon race is enough to crush you to pieces," the Vice Pavilion Master said. Qin Feiyang said, "I know myself well. I won't look for the dragons before I have absolute confidence. The dragons are existences you can't afford to offend. Even the Treasure Pavilion and Ninth Heaven Palace dare not provoke them, let alone you. I'm not telling you for your own good," the Vice Pavilion Master said earnestly. "I know you're doing this for my own good. But I really want to know about the dragons. Please help me." As Qin Feiyang spoke, he took the opportunity to kneel on the ground. The Vice Pavilion Master's expression changed. He quickly landed in front of Qin Feiyang and grabbed Qin Feiyang. "You're my benefactor. You can't kneel." Qin Feiyang said, "Please help me." "You silly boy." The Vice Pavilion Master glared at him and said, "Sit down. I'll tell you." "Thank you, Senior." Qin Feiyang smiled gratefully. The Vice Pavilion Master returned to his seat, took a sip of tea, and said, "Actually, the dragons are part of the Divine Dragon clan." "I've already expected that," Qin Feiyang said. The Deputy Pavilion Master asked, "Then do you know how many dragons there are?" Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Too many to count. And there are all kinds of divine dragons. For example, Gold Dragon, Black Dragon, White Dragon, Silver Dragon, Water Dragon, Ice Dragon, Fire Dragon, Sword Dragon, Sky Dragon, etc. Every single one of them is extremely powerful, especially the ancestral dragons of the various races," the Vice Pavilion Master said. "Ancestral dragon." Qin Feiyang was shocked. These two words were not unfamiliar to him at all. Yes. Dragons are a huge race. Every race has an ancestral dragon. With the ancestral dragon's strength, it's no exaggeration to say that even this old man would be killed instantly, the Vice Pavilion Master said in a deep voice. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. Was he that strong? "I'm not trying to scare you. And above the ancestral dragons, there is an even more powerful divine dragon. This divine dragon is called the Dragon Sovereign by the dragons. It is this dragon sovereign who controls the entire dragon clan. Even those ancestral dragons have to listen to him," the Vice Pavilion Master said. "Dragon Sovereign," Qin Feiyang muttered and asked, "Is there a purple gold divine dragon among the dragons?" "Purple gold divine dragon?" The Vice Pavilion Master was taken aback and shook his head. "I haven't heard of it, but I don't know whether there is one or not. Only the dragons themselves know." Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, "Where do the dragons reside?" "Divine Land," the Vice Pavilion Master said. "Divine Land?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. There were a total of 5 regions in the ancient realm. Dongling, Western Desert, Northern Region, Southern Wilderness, and the last one was Divine Land. Yes. Divine Land is a very special place. Not only is it rich in talents and resources, but it is also full of powerhouses. My cultivation can only be considered average in the Divine Prefecture, said Yi Futian. The Vice Pavilion Master said. This, Qin Feiyang was shocked. The Vice Pavilion Master was a top powerhouse in the northern region, but in Divine Land, he was only average. Let's put it this way. The overall strength of Divine Land is stronger than Dongling, Western Desert, Northern Region, and Southern Wilderness combined. And the dragons are the strongest in Divine Land. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are the rulers of Divine Land. The Vice Pavilion Master said. Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. He did not expect the dragons to be so strong. No wonder the Vice Pavilion Master did not want to tell him. With his current cultivation, he would be courting death if he went to find the dragons. After a long while, Qin Feiyang calmed down and asked, "Are there humans in Divine Land?" "Of course. But in Divine Land, we humans have a very low status. We are even ruled by the dragons." The Vice Pavilion Master said. Ruled by the dragons. Qin Feiyang's heart was in turmoil. It was far beyond his imagination. The Vice Pavilion Master said with a smile, "To be honest, the Treasure Pavilion's General Pavilion is in Divine Land, and we have a place in Divine Land." The General Pavilion is in Divine Land? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes, otherwise, why do you think the Ninth Heaven Palace is so afraid of the Treasure Pavilion? The Vice Pavilion Master said. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Doesn't that mean that the Treasure Pavilion is all over the ancient world? Yes. But compared to the dragons, the Treasure Pavilion is still a long way behind. The Vice Pavilion Master sighed. Qin Feiyang asked, "Have you been to Divine Land?" "No. Divine Land is ruled by the dragons. Only the dragons can enter Divine Land at will. And if the people of the Treasure Pavilion want to go to the General Pavilion of Divine Land, or if the General Pavilion of Divine Land comes to the Northern Region, they have to get the permission of the dragons in advance." The Vice Pavilion Master said. Qin Feiyang said, "I didn't expect us humans to have such a low status in Divine Land." Yes. No matter where we are, we humans are the rulers, but in Divine Land, we can only be described as small and humble. Now you understand how strong the dragons are, right? The Vice Pavilion Master sighed. Understood. Qin Feiyang nodded. The Vice Pavilion Master said, "Although this old man doesn't know why you have a grudge with the dragons, you must not be impulsive. This junior will bear that in mind." After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he asked, "Where exactly is the Divine Land?" The Vice Pavilion Master said, "Divine Land is in the center of the Heavenly Dragon Sea." The center of the Heavenly Dragon Sea? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. The size of the Heavenly Dragon Sea is beyond your imagination. Dongling, the Western Desert, the Northern Region, and the Southern Wilderness are located in the four directions of the Heavenly Dragon Sea. And our Northern Region is the north of the Heavenly Dragon Sea. In short, our four regions surround the Heavenly Dragon Sea and Divine Land. The Vice Pavilion Master said. Qin Feiyang said, "That is to say, Divine Land is located in the center of the ancient world?" "That's right." The Vice Pavilion Master nodded. Qin Feiyang said, "Doesn't the Heavenly Dragon Sea run through the entire ancient world?" "You can say that. The Heavenly Dragon Sea connects Dongling, the Western Desert, the Northern Region, the Southern Wilderness, and Divine Land. Although the people of our four regions all call it the Heavenly Dragon Sea, the people of Divine Land have different names. For example, the Heavenly Dragon Sea in our Northern Region is called the North Sea. The Western Desert is called the West Sea. The Dongling side is called the East Sea. The Southern Wilderness is called the South Sea." The Vice Pavilion Master said. "East Sea, West Sea, North Sea, South Sea," Qin Feiyang murmured. "Wait." The Vice Pavilion Master suddenly seemed to think of something and said in surprise, "You want to go to the deepest part of the Heavenly Dragon Sea, don't tell me you want to go to Divine Land?" To be honest, before this, I didn't have this idea. Because before, I didn't know Divine Land was in the Heavenly Dragon Sea. Qin Feiyang said. The Vice Pavilion Master breathed a sigh of relief. No. But then. He frowned again and looked at Qin Feiyang, saying, from what you said, now that you know Divine Land's location, you really want to go and have a look. I do have this idea. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The Vice Pavilion Master immediately looked angry and said, you'd better get rid of this idea immediately, because you can't enter Divine Land at all. Can't? Qin Feiyang frowned. Yes. The entire Divine Land is enveloped in a bounded domain. And the owner of this bounded domain is the ruler of Divine Land, Long Zun. In other words, Divine Land is actually a giant cage. And this bounded domain has a total of 4 entrances and exits, located in the north, south, east, and west directions. Every entrance and exit is guarded by a divine dragon. They are extremely powerful, and with my cultivation, I can't force my way through. The Vice Pavilion Master said in a deep voice. A giant cage, Qin Feiyang frowned. The Vice Pavilion Master pondered for a while and said, if you really want to go to Divine Land, you can wait. Wait? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Yes. Our Pavilion Master, who is Miss Qiu's master, will go to the General Pavilion of Divine Land once every 100 years, and then you can go to Divine Land with him. The Vice Pavilion Master said. Qin Feiyang said, is there no other way, like a transmission altar? No. The Vice Pavilion Master shook his head. Qin Feiyang said, how long will it be before Pavilion Master enters Divine Land again? The Vice Pavilion Master said, 50 years. 50 years, Qin Feiyang murmured. This is the only way you can go, or you will die. Besides, 50 years is not a long time for someone of your cultivation. The Vice Pavilion Master said. People like the God of War can cultivate in seclusion for decades, centuries, or even thousands of years. 50 years is indeed not a long time. Shengguan Qiu said. In her heart, she did not want Qin Feiyang to take the risk. But she did not know that 50 years was too long for Qin Feiyang, who owned the ancient castle. But the two of them were also concerned about him, and they could not be ungrateful. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, looked up at the two, and said with a smile, we'll talk about it later. Hearing that, the Vice Pavilion Master and Shengguan Qiu did not say anything more. Qin Feiyang got up and said, okay, I've got what I want to know, and I should go. Where are you going? Shengguan Qiu asked hurriedly. The northern region is so big, there must be a place for me to stay. You don't have to see me off, I'll see you again. By the way, I'll help the Ninth Heaven Palace, and I hope you can keep it a secret. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled, then entered the ancient castle, and then drove the ancient castle, quickly leaving the treasure house. Dragons, Shengguan Qiu frowned and muttered to himself for a while, then looked at the Vice Pavilion Master and said, Your Excellency, dragons are in Divine Land, how did he become friends with dragons? Is he from the Divine Prefecture? Chapter 2175. Impossible. If he was from the Divine Land, he wouldn't have come to us to ask about the dragons. As for how he became enemies with the dragons, to be honest, I really don't understand. There are countless young geniuses in the Northern Domain, but this kid is the only one I can't see through. The Deputy Pavilion Master shook his head, got up, and left with his crutch. Jiang Haotian, where did you come from? Shengguan Qiu murmured. Buzz. Suddenly, there was a buzzing sound in Shengguan Qiu's arms. Coming back to his senses, Shengguan Qiu sat at the desk and took out the image crystal. An illusory figure quickly appeared. It was Shengguan Fenglan. Shengguan Qiu shook his head and smiled. Sister, I knew you would send me a message. Then don't keep me guessing. Who helped the ninth heaven palace? Shangguan Fenglan said. You and I know him. And he just left the ninth heaven palace. Shangguan Xiu said. What? It's him. Shangguan Fenglan was stunned. Surprised, right? Shangguan Xiu smiled. Quite surprised. But I don't understand how he could be so influential. Shangguan Fenglan was suspicious. Elixir recipes. Shangguan Xiu said. Elixir recipes? Shangguan Fenglan was stunned and said in surprise, You mean the recipes for the 4 symbols Infinite Divine Pill, 9 Transformation Dragon Blood Pill, and 9 Chu Yellow Dragon Pill? Yes. Shangguan Xiu nodded. Why did he do that? He has already left the ninth heaven palace. Why did he pay such a high price to help us? Shangguan Fenglan frowned. I don't know. I asked. Not only did I ask, but the deputy pavilion master also asked. But he only said that it was because of personal reasons. Shangguan Xiu said helplessly. Personal reasons. Shangguan Fenglan murmured. Sister, this person is really good. His departure is a loss to the ninth heaven palace. Shangguan Xiu sighed. How could I not know? But I couldn't persuade the first elder. Besides, it was Jiang Haotian who asked to leave. You can't keep a person who is determined to leave. Shangguan Fenglan said. Shangguan Xiu nodded and said, Keep this to yourself. Don't tell anyone else. Why? Shangguan Fenglan was suspicious. This was a good thing. It was worth singing and praising, so why hide it from everyone? This is his personal wish. Maybe he doesn't want anything in return. He just wants to be a good person. Shangguan Xiu smiled. Quietly be a good person? Shangguan Fenglan was rather speechless. She nodded and said, All right, let's make this a secret forever. Outside Sky Dragon City, on the mountain. A young man in white stood at the edge of a cliff with his hands behind his back. He was handsome like jade, and his body was tall and straight. His long hair and clothes fluttered in the wind. Looking from afar, it was like a divine sun had descended into the world. Next to them, there was also a woman in yellow. She had an exquisite figure, and her black hair fluttered in the wind. At first glance, one could tell that she was a stunning woman. Unfortunately, she was wearing a mask that covered her face. The two of them were Qin Feiyang and Fire Lotus. Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyang and asked suspiciously, Qin Dage, why do I feel that you're a little unhappy? Qin Feiyang sighed deeply and said, The dragons are so powerful. How can I be happy? So it's because of the dragons. Fire Lotus suddenly understood and said with a smile, Actually, it's not a big deal. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He turned to Fire Lotus and asked, What do you mean? The dragons are indeed terrifying, but they're not invincible. Take Feng Yuan for example. He's also very strong, but didn't he still lose to you? Fire Lotus said. Huh, Qin Feiyang smiled and rubbed Fire Lotus's head, saying, After hearing what you said, my confidence is back. That's right. No matter how strong the enemy was, one could not be dispirited, because only by facing it bravely could one have a chance to defeat the enemy. Phew. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and said in a low voice, Artifact Spirit, come out for a moment. The artifact spirit of the Grey Castle immediately rushed out of the Sea of Qi and floated in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang said, Do you know about the dragons? Yes. The artifact spirit nodded. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, Then why didn't you tell me? The artifact spirit said in a hoarse voice, as the deputy pavilion master said, These things are still too far away for you. You didn't deliberately hide it from me? Qin Feiyang said. How is that possible? The artifact spirit said. Why is it impossible? The deepest part of the heavenly dragon sea is where the divine land is. You want me to go to the deepest part? You can't be sure that you have no other purpose. Qin Feiyang said meaningfully. The artifact spirit said angrily, why are you so suspicious? Then tell me now, did you really see my ancestor and Lu Zhengyang in the deepest part of the heavenly dragon sea? Qin Feiyang said. The artifact spirit said, okay, I swear that if I lie, my soul will be destroyed and I will never be reincarnated. But Qin Feiyang did not believe this bullshit oath. Because this oath was meaningless at all. However, he did not continue to dwell on this issue. Lowering his head and pondering for a moment, Qin Feiyang looked at the artifact spirit and said, I remember you said that my ancestor and Lu Zhengyang seemed to be planning something in the deepest part? Yes. The artifact spirit nodded. Qin Feiyang said, do you think they are planning to secretly enter the divine land? Secretly enter the divine land? The artifact spirit was taken aback and pondered for a moment, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, you don't say, maybe there is such a possibility. The dragons want to deprive him of the power of his bloodline and kill the palace master of the ninth heaven palace. He is looking for the dragons for revenge. Revenge, Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. But this is just our guess. They may not have really entered the divine land. But the deputy pavilion master said something very reasonable. With your current cultivation, going to the divine land is courting death. The artifact spirit said. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said with a smile, then cultivate. We will talk about going to the heavenly dragon sea after breaking through to the half-step divine lord realm. Cultivating is so boring. How about I walk around? Maybe one day I will recover my memory. Fire Lotus said. You little girl, Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly and said, okay, but if anything happens, remember to send me a message immediately. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyang was still a little worried. He looked at the artifact spirit and said with a smile, why don't you follow her and protect her? The artifact spirit hesitated. You don't need to cultivate, so what are you hesitating for? It's decided. Qin Feiyang said. I am a heaven-defying artifact, but I have become a bodyguard. The artifact spirit was a little dissatisfied. But he did not go against Qin Feiyang's wishes and summoned his main body. Be careful. Qin Feiyang reminded Fire Lotus again and entered the castle. Fire Lotus looked at the place where Qin Feiyang disappeared and said to the artifact spirit, long time no see. The artifact spirit looked at Fire Lotus in surprise and said, you didn't lose your memory? Yes. After the tribulation, I have recovered my memory. Fire Lotus nodded. The artifact spirit said, then why did you pretend to lose your memory and stay by Qin Feiyang's side? Fire Lotus smiled faintly. Because I am dependent on him. Dependent. The artifact spirit was in disbelief. Fire Lotus said, you know my identity and my methods, so you better not scheme against Qin Feiyang, or else. Before Fire Lotus could finish, the artifact spirit sneered, or else what? To be honest, if we really fight, you might not be a match for me. Indeed. But at the very least, I can make you pay the price. Fire Lotus's eyes shone coldly. The artifact spirit's pupils constricted as he said helplessly, all right, let's get along peacefully from now on. Fire Lotus raised her brow. You don't understand what I mean. I'm not saying that we should get along peacefully, I'm saying that we shouldn't scheme against Qin Feiyang. Qin Batian and Lu Zhengyang are not people to be trifled with, would I dare to scheme against them? The artifact spirit was somewhat helpless. It's good that you know. Fire Lotus said. The artifact spirit said, then where are you going now? Qin Feiyang needs a full 5 years to break through to half-step Divine Lord. In these 5 years, I can help him do a lot of things. Fire Lotus thought. What things? The artifact spirit was suspicious. Go to the Sky Dragon Sea and clear all obstacles for him. Fire Lotus's eyes flashed coldly as she turned into a stream of light and flew away like lightning. How considerate. The artifact spirit murmured as he returned to his body and chased after Fire Lotus. Time passed. The storm caused by Feng Yuan and the band gradually calmed down as time passed. However, no one forgot about Qin Feiyang. Half a year later, Dan Wangkai finally understood the mysteries of becoming a god and broke through to the false god realm. Qin Feiyang brought him to the castle and taught him the soul-gathering divine art. Half a year later, White-Eyed Wolf and the other beasts, Mermaid Princess, and the others also broke through to the peak war god realm. After opening the door of potential, they all took the 4 symbols infinite divine pill. In the end, without exception, they all became half-step divine lords. This made Qin Feiyang very envious. If he had taken the 4 symbols infinite divine pill in order to enter the resource hall, then he would have broken through to half-step divine lord by now. But it had already become a fact, so there was nothing to regret. He continued to cultivate. There was no need to think about the soul stone now. He had tens of billions on him, no matter how much he used it, it would never be used up. 5 years was not a long time, but it was not short either. Just as Fire Lotus said, many things could be done in 5 years, but also many things could happen. Jiutian Palace had completely calmed down. And every year, new disciples would be recruited as usual. In 5 years, Jiutian Palace recruited 5 times. But these 5 times, it was not as cruel as when Qin Feiyang and the others entered Jiutian Palace. Every time, there were 500 to 600 people who passed. And Mu Tianyang and Hua Yi also conscientiously took care of the resource hall. However, although Qin Feiyang had disappeared for 5 years, from time to time, people would mention his name, and it was basically worship and praise for him. And Frenzy, ever since that incident ended, did not appear again, as if he had evaporated into thin air. As for the treasure hall, everything was normal. It was just that in these 5 years, Shangguan Qiu would often stand alone in front of the window in the middle of the night, staring at the moon in a daze. No one knew what she was thinking. Fupin Chinese. Chapter 2176. Outside Sky Dragon City. 5 years had passed. The vegetation on the mountain was even more lush. Swish! At the peak of the mountain, a figure appeared out of thin air. It was Qin Feiyang, who had been away for a long time. 5 years, it's really gone by in a hurry. Qin Feiyang looked at the morning sun on the horizon and sighed. This was the longest seclusion he had ever gone into in his life. He wondered if everyone still remembered him after 5 years. Phew! Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and took out the image crystal. However, he was stunned. He was sending a message to Fire Lotus. In the past 5 years, Fire Lotus had never returned. He didn't pay much attention to it. After all, the Grey Castle was protecting Fire Lotus. But he didn't expect that there would be no response when he sent a message to Fire Lotus. What was going on? Did something happen? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but panic. He closed his eyes and sensed the Grey Castle through the blood contract. Damn it! A moment later, Qin Feiyang opened his eyes. His face was as calm as water. He couldn't sense the existence of the Grey Castle. Hearing the commotion outside, the White-Eyed Wolf asked suspiciously, "Little Qin Zi, what happened?" "Fire Lotus is gone," Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. "What? Didn't I tell her not to run around?" The White-Eyed Wolf said in shock. Zhao Tailai and the others also opened their eyes because they were no longer in the mood to cultivate. As the saying goes, love the house and its crow. They also treated Fire Lotus as their own sister. Don't worry, cultivate in peace. I'll think of a way to find her. Qin Feiyang thought to himself. Not only Zhao Tailai and the others, even Dan Wangkai had broken through to half-step God Lord. Because from pseudo-god to perfect war god, one only needed to refine a total of 11 million soul stones. From pseudo-god to beginner war god, 1,000. From beginner to small success, 10,000. From small success to great success, 100,000. From great success to perfection, 1 million. From perfection to perfection, it was 10 million. It would take many years to gather 10 million soul stones outside, but the ancient castle was different. 1 day equals 1 year. Therefore, even though Dan Wangkai had only reached the false divinity realm 4 years ago, he had already broken through to the perfection battle god realm after a few years of hard work. After consuming the 4 symbols infinite divine pill, he stepped into the god monarch realm. However, although they had taken a shortcut and had broken into the half-step divine lord realm before Qin Feiyang, now that they were attacking the initial divine lord realm, they were no different from Qin Feiyang. Therefore, Qin Feiyang did not want to make a big fuss, so as to avoid delaying his cultivation. All right then. When you really can't find it, we'll go out and search with you. The white-eyed wolf said. Yes. Qin Feiyang responded. He lowered his head, frowned, and fell into deep thought. Where could Fire Lotus have gone? 9 Heaven Palace? It shouldn't be. Treasure Pavilion? That was also impossible. Before leaving, she only said that she was going out for a walk, but did not say the exact location. The northern region was so big, finding a person was like finding a needle in a haystack. In his heart, he was extremely frustrated. Wait. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang thought of a person. This person would definitely be able to find the Fire Lotus. Qin Feiyang hurriedly revived the image crystal. Buzz. Not long later, a shadow appeared. It was Mu Tianyang. Seeing that it was Qin Feiyang, Mu Tianyang was stunned, and shouted, "Io, isn't this Qin Feiyang, young Master Qin? Where are you now?" Qin Feiyang was not in the mood to talk nonsense with him, so he asked directly. "Of course I'm in my cave, otherwise I would dare to call out your real name?" Mu Tianyang rolled his eyes at him. Qin Feiyang said, "Come to my place immediately." Huh? Mu Tianyang looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously and said, "Look at you, did something happen? You first." After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he gave the coordinates to Mu Tianyang. "I'm going to the resource hall to check the warehouse, can we talk about it at night?" Mu Tianyang frowned. "No." Qin Feiyang said. Mu Tianyang said helplessly, "Well, I'll go and ask for leave from the hall master." Hall master? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. As early as 4 years ago, a new hall master came to the resource hall. Mu Tianyang said. "Who is it?" Qin Feiyang asked. "You won't know him even if I tell you." "Wait a minute. Coincidentally, I also found something strange recently, I'll tell you when we meet later." After Mu Tianyang said, he turned off the image crystal. Something strange? Qin Feiyang was stunned, then a trace of suspicion crept into his eyes. He knew Mu Tianyang's character, he wouldn't care about ordinary things at all. In other words, if it could make Mu Tianyang feel strange, it must be something unusual. He put away the image crystal and waited patiently. After waiting for about half an hour, whoosh! Mu Tianyang finally landed on the top of the mountain, looked up and down at Qin Feiyang, frowning. "You've broken through?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "I thought you went to have fun these 5 years, it turns out that you've been hiding here to cultivate." Mu Tianyang said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed, the future is long and full of danger. It's impossible not to cultivate. But your cultivation, why is it still at the perfect war god? Nonsense. My golden crow temple can only be half as fast as your ancient castle, so it will definitely take longer than you. Besides, I still have to work during the day, I only have time to cultivate at night. Mu Tianyang said. Then you've wasted so much time, have you found the whereabouts of the spirit vein? Qin Feiyang said. Yes. Mu Tianyang nodded, then grinned, but it has nothing to do with you now. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said, let's get down to business, ask Mu Qing to come out and help me find someone. Mu Tianyang said, who? Fire Lotus. Qin Feiyang said. Fire Lotus? Mu Tianyang was stunned and frowned, hasn't she always been by your side? 5 years ago, when I was in seclusion, she said that cultivation was too boring and wanted to go out for a walk, but she never came back. When I came out of seclusion just now, I wanted to send her a message and ask her to come back, but there was no response. I'm thinking, did something happen to her? Qin Feiyang said. How can she say that cultivation is boring when she has a divine artifact like the ancient castle? Mu Tianyang was speechless. 1 day was equal to 1 year. He wanted such a time array even in his dreams. But this woman was not willing to do it. She really did not know how lucky she was. Qin Feiyang urged, stop talking nonsense, ask Mu Qing to help find her. Mu Tianyang said, Mu Qing, did you hear that? Help him find her. Okay. Mu Qing, who was waiting in the Golden Crow Temple, responded and opened her all-seeing eye. Looking at Qin Feiyang's eager face, Mu Tianyang was a little speechless and said, don't worry, it won't be so fast. Let's settle old scores first. Old scores? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Let me remind you, Soul Stone. Mu Tianyang said. Soul Stone? Qin Feiyang was stunned, and then he suddenly understood and smiled. You already know? Of course. I already knew. I just didn't want to disturb you, so I didn't send you a message. Mu Tianyang said. Qin Feiyang laughed dryly, you've even found the soul vein. Do you still need a few soul stones? You call this a few? Are you kidding me? That's more than 30 billion. I don't care, you have to give it to me. If you act shamelessly, I'll reveal your identity. Mu Tianyang said angrily. Don't be so stingy. Besides, talking about money hurts feelings. Qin Feiyang laughed. Don't play this game. I can forgive you if you give the recipe to the treasure pavilion. But you can't take the soul stones alone. Mu Tianyang snorted coldly. Okay, I'll give it to you. Qin Feiyang looked at him helplessly and said, Old Zhao, prepare 32. 5 billion soul stones. Are you really going to give it to him? Zhao Tailai said. Otherwise? If he really reveals my identity, maybe the dragons will come to me tomorrow. Qin Feiyang said. Okay. Zhao Tailai said reluctantly. Although the soul stones they had now were enough for them to use for a long time, losing more than 30 billion would be painful for anyone. After a while, Qin Feiyang took out an interspatial ring and threw it to Mu Tianyang. Mu Tianyang caught it in his hand and checked it carefully. He looked up at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, that's more like it. Don't be so smug. Ask Mu Qing if it's not done yet. Qin Feiyang said. Mu Tianyang smiled proudly and said, I have the result long ago, but I didn't see the soul stones, so I didn't want to tell you. You, Qin Feiyang suddenly felt a surge of anger in his heart. But then, a sense of powerlessness rose in his heart again. He had no choice. After all, he was the one who asked for help. Qin Feiyang held back his anger and said, Tell me quickly. Mu Tianyang said, Mu Qing said that the all-seeing eye can't see the exact location of the fire lotus. What? Can't see it? Qin Feiyang turned pale with fright. Don't worry. Although I can't see her exact location, at least I can be sure that she's still alive. Mu Tianyang said. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded. If the fire lotus was dead, the all-seeing eye would not be able to find any traces. Mu Tianyang said, although I can't see the exact location, I can still see the general direction. Which direction? Qin Feiyang asked. The Sea of Heavenly Dragons. Mu Tianyang said. Why did she go to the Sea of Heavenly Dragons? Qin Feiyang was shocked. Alright, it's just an outsider. Is there a need to be so concerned? Let's talk about this matter that I've encountered recently. Mu Tianyang opened his mouth, and his expression changed as well. It seemed to be somewhat solemn. What's the matter? Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. Let me take you to a place first. Mu Tianyang opened a teleportation altar. Qin Feiyang, with a stomach full of doubts, followed Mu Tianyang and jumped onto the altar. The next scene made Qin Feiyang even more puzzled. Mu Tianyang opened a few more altars in succession. Where were they going? After opening the 8th teleportation altar, the two landed in the air above a barren mountain. The barren mountain was about hundreds of miles long. Bushes and weeds were everywhere. The beasts that wandered in the mountains looking for food were also very weak. And around the barren mountain, there were more than a dozen villages of different sizes. Here, Mu Tianyang did not open any more teleportation altars. Obviously, this was the destination. Qin Feiyang glanced at the villages and then lowered his head to scan the barren mountain below. Immediately, he was stunned. In a valley directly below, there was actually a cemetery. Chapter 2177. There were a total of 7 tombs in the cemetery. Around them, green pines swayed in the wind. The ground was covered with green grass. Between the grass, one could even see the blooming wildflowers. Compared with the desolation and chaos outside, this place was particularly quiet. Go down. Mu Tianyang said and landed directly in the cemetery. Qin Feiyang also landed beside Mu Tianyang and looked up at the first tomb. Immediately, he was stunned. On the tombstone, the words Feng Yuan were engraved. He looked at the other tombstones behind him. They were Feng Wenhai, Feng Wenwan, Jin Yunchang, Feng Zihan, Feng Zijuan, and Fatty Jin. Qin Feiyang asked, is this the cemetery of the Feng family? Yes. Mu Tianyang nodded. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, then who are Feng Wenwan and Fatty Jin? Feng Wenwan is Jin Yunchang's wife. Fatty Jin is also Fatso Jin. Mu Tianyang said. It's them. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and looked at the tombstones. Other than their names, there were no other words on their tombstones. In front of the tombstones, there was a burnt incense. There were also a few jade plates with some rotten fruits on them. Obviously, no one had been here for a long time. Qin Feiyang looked carefully for a while and asked, this is Feng Yuan's ancestral land? No. Feng Yuan's ancestral land is not here. It's a small village in the south. In the past, he was a child of a poor family. Mu Tianyang said. South? We are in the north now. This is the opposite direction. Why are they buried here? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Isn't it simple? The person who buried them must be worried that we will continue to take revenge and wanted them to have a quiet place to rest. Mu Tianyang said. Continue to take revenge? Will we dig up the graves and destroy the bodies? What do you think we are? Boring. Qin Feiyang was speechless. What can you do if others think so? By the way, after observing for so long, have you found anything strange? Mu Tianyang said. No. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The corner of Mu Tianyang's mouth twitched as he said speechlessly, "It's already so obvious, yet you actually didn't notice it." Obvious? Qin Feiyang swept his gaze over the tombs again and asked, "Do you want to say who buried them here?" Mu Tianyang was stunned. "Isn't it?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Of course not. Although Feng Yuan's entire family is dead, Yin Hui and Jin Yunchang still have their families. For example, the man called Jin Zhou last time is Jin Yunchang's nephew. These people definitely won't let the bodies of Feng Yuan's family be exposed in the wilderness. If I'm not wrong, these tombs were built by them." Mu Tianyang said. Qin Feiyang frowned and said unhappily, "Don't keep me in suspense. Just say it." "Yin Hui." Mu Tianyang said word by word. "Yin Hui?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at the tombs and frowned. He didn't see Yin Hui's tomb. Mu Tianyang said, "The tombs of the whole family are here, but why is Yin Hui's tomb not here?" Wait. I remember that Yin Hui was taken away by Elder Yun. Maybe Elder Yun didn't give Yin Hui's body to her family? Qin Feiyang said. At first, I thought so too. But later, according to my investigation, Elder Yun didn't bury Yin Hui at all. And on the day of the incident, Elder Yun left Jiutian Palace alone. As for where he went, I didn't find out. But I think he should have sent Yin Hui's body out. Mu Tianyang said. Qin Feiyang asked, "What about Yin Hui's family?" "That's what's even stranger. Yin Hui's family and Jin Yunchang's family are all missing." Mu Tianyang said. "What? All missing?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "Yes. When I found the tombs here, I immediately went to investigate the Yin and Jin families. But when I found the ancestral grounds of these two families, I found that they were already empty. At that time, I felt very strange. Why did they all disappear? So, I secretly visited a few large villages nearby. Guess what they said? They said that the two families were still there on the night of the incident. But the next morning, the two families all disappeared." Mu Tianyang said. "They all disappeared overnight?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "I guess it should be related to Elder Yun. As soon as he left Jiutian Palace, the two families disappeared. How could there be such a coincidence?" Mu Tianyang said. "Then, did you monitor Elder Yun?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Yes. But in the past 5 years, other than coming here to burn incense, I have been guarding the prison. I really couldn't find anything. As for the whereabouts of the Yin and Jin families, I also carefully investigated, but there were no clues." Mu Tianyang shook his head regretfully. Qin Feiyang furrowed his brows and asked, "Then what exactly are you thinking?" "I don't know. I don't dare to jump to conclusions. But I keep feeling that this matter is unusual." Mu Tianyang said. "Unusual," Qin Feiyang muttered. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and said, "You said that Elder Yun would come here to burn incense?" "Yes. He would come once a year. I followed him and found this graveyard." Mu Tianyang said. Qin Feiyang said in surprise, "Does he have any relationship with the Feng family?" Mu Tianyang frowned and said, "Other than his master-disciple relationship with Yin Hui, there is no other relationship." "He came here to burn incense because of his master-disciple relationship?" Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, "This doesn't seem to make sense." "It does make sense. But I really couldn't find anything on Elder Yun." Mu Tianyang said. "Yin Hui's tomb isn't here." "Wait, is her tomb in the Yin family's territory? Qin Feiyang asked. Mu Tianyang said, I went to take a look, but it's not there. That's really strange, Qin Feiyang muttered. Mu Tianyang said, actually, I have a bold guess. Would you like to hear it? Go ahead. Qin Feiyang said. Mu Tianyang said in a low voice, Yin Hui might not be dead. What? Qin Feiyang stared at Mu Tianyang in surprise. Mu Tianyang said, do you still remember how Yin Hui died in the meeting hall? Of course. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, Elder Yun killed her personally. Wait. Elder Yun killed her personally. Could it be that Elder Yun did something secretly? Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. If that was the case, everything could be explained. However, in his impression, Elder Yun was not such a person. I remember that the first elder asked Shengguan Fenglan to kill Yin Hui, but just as Shengguan Fenglan was about to do it, Elder Yun suddenly appeared and said that he wanted to kill Yin Hui personally. When he killed Yin Hui, we were all present and saw it with our own eyes. There was nothing unusual. However, after Yin Hui fell to the ground, no one went forward to confirm whether she was dead or not. Mu Tianyang said. Qin Feiyang narrowed his eyes, and there was a glimmer in his eyes. Mu Tianyang said, if Yin Hui is really not dead, where do you think she might be now? Qin Feiyang was speechless. The North region is so big, how would I know? However, we really have to confirm this matter, or it will be a hidden danger. Yes. Feng Yuan, Feng Wenhai, Feng Zijuan, and Feng Zihan all died in our hands. If Yin Hui is still alive, she will definitely not let it go. Mu Tianyang said worriedly. Qin Feiyang asked, did you tell Shengguan Fenglan about this? No. Mu Tianyang shook his head. Actually, you can tell her to borrow the power of the Law Enforcement Hall to investigate this matter. After all, the Law Enforcement Hall has many people. It will definitely be easier for them to investigate than us. Qin Feiyang said. That makes sense. I'll go look for her when we go back later. Mu Tianyang thought for a moment and nodded with a smile. Qin Feiyang said, there's also the power of the treasure school. We can also ask for help. That's right. The people of the treasure school are all over the North region. If they take action, even if Yin Hui is hiding in a crack in the ground, they can still find her. Mu Tianyang's eyes lit up. But then. He frowned again and said, however, I don't have enough face to ask the people of the treasure school for help. You have to do this. Okay. Go to Shengguan Fenglan. I'll go to the treasure school. Within 3 days, we must find out the truth about this matter. Qin Feiyang said. Within 3 days? Do we have to be in such a hurry? Mu Tianyang was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, because I plan to set off for the Sky Dragon Sea in 3 days. This, Mu Tianyang frowned. Qin Feiyang said, if it's not convenient for you to go now, you don't have to go. But I heard that the Divine Land is in the deepest part of the Sky Dragon Sea. The Divine Land is in the deepest part of the Sky Dragon Sea? Mu Tianyang was stunned. Yes. I've basically inquired about the situation of the dragons. And according to my guess, the ancestor and Lu Zhengyang should be in the Divine Land. Qin Feiyang said. He was clearly tempting Mu Tianyang. This, Mu Tianyang's eyes flickered when he heard this. Don't think about it. Investigate Yin Hui's matter first. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Okay. Mu Tianyang nodded. The two of them opened the legendary altar and left. Treasure Pavilion. On the 3rd floor, in the study. A figure appeared out of thin air. It was Qin Feiyang. 5 years had passed, and there were not many changes here. However, Shengguan Xiu was not in the study at this time. Qin Feiyang did not inform her. He walked around the bookshelf for a while and then sat at the coffee table to make tea. After a while, in the study, there was a strong fragrance of tea. Qin Feiyang tasted the tea while sending a message to Fire Lotus, but there was no response at all. The Sky Dragon Sea is so dangerous. What are you going to do there? Qin Feiyang was very angry. Although Mu Qing's all-seeing eye confirmed that Fire Lotus was still alive, there was no guarantee that she was not in danger. Because the all-seeing eye could only spy on the other party's position and could not predict her safety. Perhaps Fire Lotus was now trapped somewhere and in despair. Perhaps she was seriously injured by sea beasts. Or perhaps she was captured. These were all possibilities. Chapter 2178. At noon. Sheng Guanqiu had finally finished her work in the treasure pavilion and was going to take a rest in the study. But when she pushed the door open, a strong tea aroma wafted into her nose. She was very familiar with this tea aroma. It was given to her by the deputy pavilion leader to serve Qin Feiyang. Immediately, her eyes were filled with anger. Not only did he break into her study, but he also touched her things. How dare he? She pushed the door open and was about to lose her temper. But when she saw the young man in white sitting by the tea table, she was stunned. Qin Feiyang looked up at Sheng Guanqiu and asked suspiciously, "Miss Shengguan, what's wrong with you? Why are you so angry?" "Nothing, nothing." Sheng Guanqiu came back to his senses and quickly waved his hand. Then, he closed the door and his expression returned to normal. He smiled and said, "Where have you been for the past 5 years?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "I want to, but I'm not strong enough." "Strong enough?" Sheng Guanqiu was stunned. She looked at Qin Feiyang and asked in surprise, "You become a half-step divine lord?" "Yes. It's not easy to cultivate in seclusion for 5 years. Qin Feiyang sighed. Sheng Guanqiu was in disbelief. He became a half-step divine lord in 5 years? That's too fast. No. Fast was not enough to describe it. It was insane. Sheng Guanqiu walked to the tea table and sat down. She looked at Qin Feiyang curiously and asked, "How did you do it?" "How did I do it?" Qin Feiyang looked at her suspiciously. Of course. Of course it's your cultivation. Even if you have enough soul stones, you can't become a half-step divine lord from a perfect god of war in 5 years. Sheng Guanqiu said. That's because you don't know any better. How can you ask such a personal question? Qin Feiyang was unhappy. Sheng Guanqiu rolled her eyes. Qin Feiyang smiled and asked, "How have you been these years?" "How can I be? Just like before, I'll manage the treasure pavilion during the day and cultivate in seclusion at night." Sheng Guanqiu smiled. Not bad. Qin Feiyang nodded. Sheng Guanqiu asked, "Is there anything I can help you with this time?" "It's nothing much. It's just that I haven't seen you in a few years and I miss you, so I came to see you." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Miss me?" Sheng Guanqiu was stunned. Qin Feiyang chuckled. "We're friends after all. Isn't it normal for friends to miss friends?" "Just friends?" Sheng Guanqiu murmured. He could not help but feel disappointed. Qin Feiyang smiled again and said, "Of course, there is indeed a small matter that I need your help with." Sheng Guanqiu was stunned. He pursed his lips and said, "I knew you wouldn't come here for no reason." "Say it." Qin Feiyang said, "Help me investigate the whereabouts of the Yin and Jin families." Yin family? Jin clan? Sheng Guanqiu was puzzled. Qin Feiyang said, "They are Yin Hui and Jin Yinchang's clansmen." "So it's them. Although I don't know them, it's not difficult to find their clansmen's land." Shangguan Xiu said. No, no, no. Not their clansman's land, but their current whereabouts. Because these two families had already disappeared 5 years ago. Qin Feiyang said. Disappeared? Shangguan Xiu was surprised. Qin Feiyang did not hide anything and briefly explained the situation. So that's how it is. Shangguan Xiu nodded in realization and said, according to what you said, Yin Hui might still be alive. Qin Feiyang said, so, I have to confirm this matter. It's not difficult. As long as they are still in the northern region, with the power of the treasure school, we can find them. But it will take some time. After all, the northern region is too big. Shangguan Xiu said. How long? Qin Feiyang asked. Half a month. Shangguan Xiu thought for a while and said. Half a month? Qin Feiyang frowned. This was a little different from his plan. His plan was to find the Yin and Jin families in 3 days. Half a month is already very short. If we really want to search the entire northern region, with the power of the treasure school, it will take at least a month. Shangguan Xiu said. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang nodded and said, okay, as long as we can find them. That's good. Sit for a while, I'll arrange it right away. Shangguan Xiu got up and left quickly. What a swift and decisive woman. Looking at Shangguan Xiu's back, Qin Feiyang could not help shaking his head and smiling. Feiyang, let me out for a while. Suddenly, the mermaid princess's voice rang in Qin Feiyang's mind. Qin Feiyang was stunned. With a thought, the mermaid princess immediately appeared beside him. The mermaid princess looked around the study curiously. Qin Feiyang was a little confused and said, You were cultivating. Why did you suddenly come out? Since I entered the ancient world, I have been cultivating in the castle and have not seen the outside world properly. The mermaid princess said. Qin Feiyang was stunned. After thinking carefully, it seemed to be true. He could not help but feel guilty. He pulled the mermaid princess and let the mermaid princess sit on his lap. Then he grabbed the mermaid princess' hand and said apologetically, I'm sorry. You didn't do anything wrong. Why are you apologizing to me? The mermaid princess looked at him suspiciously. It has been 5 or 6 years since I entered the ancient world. But in the past 5 or 6 years, I have been busy with my own things and have never been with you properly. I have never thought about how you feel. Is it lonely to stay in the castle? Are you bored? I have always thought that I am a good man, but in fact, I am not. I am not a qualified man at all. Qin Feiyang blamed himself. How can it be so serious? The mermaid princess hurriedly said. I know you are considerate and will not blame me, but I feel bad. How about this? Before we find the Yin family and the Jin family, I will accompany you to have a good stroll around the northern region. Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid princess thought for a moment and said with a smile, if you think that will make you feel better, then I will reluctantly agree to it. Reluctantly? Qin Feiyang was stunned, and his hands suddenly became mischievous. He chuckled and said, Little girl, are you still trying to take advantage of me? Let's see how I will deal with you today. What are you doing? This is someone else's study. The mermaid princess blushed and scolded. What are you afraid of? There is no one here anyway. Qin Feiyang snickered. Dirty. The mermaid princess said angrily. Her ears were red, but her heart was filled with happiness. Although she had been cultivating, she also knew what was going on outside. For example, Gao Xiaoyi's hidden feelings for Qin Feiyang. For example, the deputy pavilion master's matchmaking. If it were another man, he might have agreed. Because it was normal to have many wives. But Qin Feiyang rejected every time, and the reason was her. So she was very satisfied and lucky to have met this man. Creak. Suddenly, the door opened. The two of them were flirting, but the door opened. The mermaid princess stood up reflexively, and her cheeks were red. Qin Feiyang also hurriedly retracted his hands. He looked up and saw Sheng Wanqiu standing at the door, looking at him with an extremely exaggerated expression. This, Qin Feiyang was very embarrassed. Didn't she go to arrange the search for the Yin family and the Jin family? Why did she come back so soon? Sheng Wanqiu was also caught off guard and couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. Well, Miss Shengwan, don't misunderstand, we actually didn't. The mermaid princess looked at Sheng Wanqiu and hurriedly explained. Sheng Wanqiu waved her hand and said, "It's okay, you can continue." After that, she closed the door. "It's all your fault." The mermaid princess glared at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. Outside the door. After Sheng Wanqiu closed the door, she scratched her head. Something was wrong. This was her study. Why did she have to leave? If anyone had to leave, it should be Qin Feiyang and Sheng Wanqiu. Phew. Sheng Wanqiu let out a long breath and opened the door again. Qin Feiyang smiled to hide the embarrassment on his face and asked, "It's already arranged?" "It's just an order." "How much time can it take?" Sheng Wanqiu rolled her eyes at Qin Feiyang and looked at the mermaid princess. So beautiful. Although they were both women, she couldn't help but marvel at the mermaid princess in her heart. The mermaid princess said apologetically, "Miss Shengwan, I'm so sorry. Love is deep. It's understandable." Sheng Wanqiu smiled. Hearing this, the mermaid princess blushed even more. Sheng Wanqiu suddenly froze. She looked at the mermaid princess and asked, "Have I seen you somewhere before?" "Yes, you have. I was with Brother Tian when he signed up for the 9th Heaven Palace's assessment." The mermaid princess said. "Yes, yes, yes. It was then. I still remember that at that time, there were many men present who stared at Jiang Haotian with envious and jealous gazes. Actually, I also think that you being with him is like putting a flower on a pile of cow dung." Sheng Wanqiu said. Cow dung. The mermaid princess was dumbfounded. Qin Feiyang was also stunned. Although he wasn't as handsome as Panin, he was still considered a talent. How could he be a pile of cow dung? Ahem. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and said to Sheng Wanqiu, "I'm still here. I know you are here. But you're here. Can't I tell you the truth?" Sheng Wanqiu snorted. "Or the truth?" Qin Feiyang's face twitched. Was it necessary to be so sarcastic? He suddenly stood up and hugged the mermaid princess. He looked at Sheng Wanqiu proudly and said, "Even if I'm a pile of cow dung, I'm still a pile of cow dung that people love. But you? Even if you're a flower, no one is willing to pick you." "You," Sheng Wanqiu stared at Qin Feiyang fiercely. The mermaid princess looked at the two of them and said with a smile, "You two are really interesting. People who don't know will think that you two are flirting." "Who's flirting with him?" "Scumbag." Sheng Wanqiu's face was full of disdain. "And you called me a scumbag?" "Sheng Wanqiu, tell me clearly today. How am I a scumbag?" Qin Feiyang said angrily. "Does a scumbag need a reason?" Sheng Wanqiu sneered. Qin Feiyang said angrily, "My bad temper, what? You want to hit a woman? This is the way of a scumbag, don't you know?" Sheng Wanqiu said. "Fine. You win. I'll endure it." Qin Feiyang was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Women were indeed creatures that could not be provoked. But he couldn't figure it out. Before the mermaid princess appeared, this woman's attitude towards him was quite good. Why was she criticizing him now? Chapter 2179. Can't you tell? She's interested in you. The mermaid princess voice suddenly rang in Qin Feiyang's mind. What? Interested in me? Qin Feiyang was shocked and looked at Sheng Guanqiu in confusion. How could this be? Although Sheng Guanqiu's attitude towards him was not bad now, they had fought many times when they first met. The most typical thing was that Sheng Guanqiu ordered him to be banned. Therefore, this was impossible. You're really an insensitive blockhead. The mermaid princess rolled her eyes and laughed secretly. Actually, she's not bad. If you really like her, I won't stop you. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched as he secretly said, Are you doubting my loyalty to you? The word loyalty is not suitable for you men to say. I'm not doubting you. I'm serious. Because one more person means one more person to take care of you. It'll save me a lot of trouble. The mermaid princess smiled. Qin Feiyang did not know whether to laugh or cry. They were not even married yet, and she was already thinking about how to save him from trouble? She was really preparing for a rainy day. The mermaid princess ignored Qin Feiyang and looked at Sheng Guanqiu with a smile. You're older than me, so I'll call you sister. Sure. Sheng Guanqiu nodded. The mermaid princess said, Sister Shengguan, are you free today? Sheng Guanqiu was stunned and asked suspiciously, Sister, what's up? The mermaid princess smiled. I want to ask Sister to take me around Sky Dragon City. Wait. Qin Feiyang quickly stopped the mermaid princess and said, Didn't we agree that I'll accompany you? The mermaid princess said, Can't I change my mind now? Qin Feiyang was about to say something when Sheng Guanqiu nodded and smiled. I'm free. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said angrily, Aren't you busy in the treasure hall? There is. But I'm the manager of the treasure pavilion. I don't need to do everything myself. I can leave it to my subordinates. Sheng Guanqiu said playfully. Qin Feiyang said, Forget it. You've been busy all day, so I won't bother you. No trouble, no trouble. I'd be happy to. Little sister, let's go. Big sister will accompany you to play now. Sheng Guanqiu said. All right. The mermaid princess nodded. Then, the two of them walked out hand in hand. That intimate appearance really made them look like a pair of beautiful sisters. What about me? Qin Feiyang roared as he looked at the backs of the two people. Do whatever you want. Sheng Guanqiu waved his hand without looking back. The mermaid princess turned around and smiled at Qin Feiyang. Then, she left with Sheng Guanqiu. Qin Feiyang stood alone in the study, at a loss of what to do. He was extremely depressed. Young master, why don't we go out and have a few drinks with you? Zhao Tailai's teasing voice sounded. Get lost. Qin Feiyang shouted angrily. Zhao Tailai said, Don't be angry. Young madam is actually helping you check. Check. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Sheng Guanqiu is really interested in you. And young madam didn't lie to you. So she asked Sheng Guanqiu out to find out about his character and character. Zhao Tailai said. How do you know? Qin Feiyang was shocked. Zhao Tailai said, Before young madam went out, she told us that herself. Nonsense. How can a woman push her man into the arms of another woman? Qin Feiyang said angrily. Wrong. No woman in the world is willing to do such a thing. Young madam is doing this for your own good. Because Sheng Guanqiu has the treasure school behind him and his sister, Shengguan Fenglan. And Shengguan Fenglan also has a master who is highly respected. Even the first elder has to be polite to her. These will all become Sheng Guanqiu's backers. So young madam thinks that if she can bring you two together, you can avoid many detours in the northern region in the future. Zhao Tailai said. Qin Feiyang was lost in thought for a while and asked, "Is that true? Would I lie to you?" Zhao Tailai said helplessly. "What a silly woman." Qin Feiyang sighed. "Young madam is not silly. She is too infatuated with you, so she would rather suffer a little to make you feel better." Zhao Tailai said. "Alas," Qin Feiyang sighed. "With such a wife, what more could a husband ask for? Young master, don't blame me for talking too much. If you really care about young madam, quickly marry her and give her an official status." Zhao Tailai said. "Marry," Qin Feiyang murmured. Zhao Tailai said, "Also, young madam is so beautiful. If you don't tie her up quickly, she might run away with someone else." Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He said angrily, "Old Zhao, do you believe that I won't beat you up? You can't even tell the truth these days. Forget it. Do as you see fit." Zhao Tailai sighed and fell silent. "What a crow's beak." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and then lowered his head to ponder. "Marriage, no. I have to go and see, in case Shengguanqiu leads me astray." A moment later, Qin Feiyang suddenly got up, entered the castle, and left the treasure house silently. "Shengguanqiu? How come she has time to go shopping today? Wait. Who is the woman beside her? She is so beautiful. She is really beautiful. Why don't I remember such a beautiful woman in Sky Dragon City?" On a street, Shengguanqiu and the mermaid princess were walking side by side. Both of them were national beauties. Walking on the street, they were undoubtedly a beautiful sight. "Miss Shengguan, long time no see." Two young men in purple walked out of the crowd and blocked Shengguanqiu and the mermaid princess. Although they were greeting Shengguanqiu, their eyes were fixed on the mermaid princess. Their eyes were filled with amazement. She was really a peerless beauty. Shengguanqiu looked at the two indifferently and said, "So it's the young masters of the Wang and Li family. What a coincidence to meet you here." She knew both of them. They were famous playboys in Sky Dragon City. It's not a coincidence. It's fate. Look at this vast sea of people. For us to be able to meet each other, this is our fate. Since it's fate, why don't we go to your Yulon restaurant and have a few drinks? The two of them laughed. Not interested. Shengguanqiu pulled the mermaid princess and walked around the two of them. "Elder sister, who are they?" The mermaid princess asked curiously. "Just two scums," Shengguanqiu said. The mermaid princess nodded. The two young men in purple frowned when they saw that Shengguanqiu did not appreciate their kindness. "Brotherly, I think we should forget about it. We can't afford to offend Shengguanqiu." The young man surnamed Wang said in a low voice. "We can't afford to offend Shengguanqiu. But it's a pity to let go of such a beauty." The young man surnamed Li said unwillingly. "It's a pity." The young man surnamed Wang nodded. He thought for a while and said, "Why don't we try again? We won't do anything to them anyway. Let's just treat it as a shameless shopping trip with them." "Okay. Let's go." The young man surnamed Li nodded. "Miss Shengguan, wait for us." The two of them immediately chased after Shengguanqiu. What do these two playboys want to do now? Needless to say, they must have taken a fancy to the girl beside Shengguanqiu. But with Shengguanqiu around, they can only feast their eyes on her. That's true. No one in Sky Dragon City dares to offend the steward of the treasure pavilion. The people discussed softly. She's really beautiful. With her beauty, she's definitely one of the best in Sky Dragon City. On the other side of the crowd, a few young men stood together and looked at the back of the mermaid princess while commenting. They looked ordinary but had an outstanding temperament, like cranes in a flock of chickens. And there was a pattern on their clothes that was also very eye-catching. That pattern was a flame pattern. And that was the pattern of Ninth Heaven Palace. Obviously. These people were all disciples of Ninth Heaven Palace. Something's not right. Why do I feel like I've seen her somewhere before? Suddenly, one of the young men who had been silent said, "Seen her before? When did this happen? Why don't we know about it?" The others were stunned and asked the young man hurriedly. "I can't remember at the moment." The young man shook his head. "In front. What do you want?" Shengguan Qiu looked at the two rich playboys angrily. "Nothing? Aren't you shopping? We'll accompany you." The two of them said cheekily. The mermaid princess looked at the two of them and said with a smile, "You two are really familiar with each other. Miss, you're flattering us. We've always been very friendly, so many people get along with us. Miss, we've never seen you before in Sky Dragon City. May I know your name and where you're from?" When the two of them saw the mermaid princess talking, they immediately went up and smiled fawningly. "I don't like to chat with strangers. And I won't tell strangers my name. Young masters, please don't disturb me and Sister Shengguan." The mermaid princess said. "Sister? Shengguan Qiu, why haven't I heard that you have a sister before?" The two of them looked at Shengguan Qiu and asked. As for the mermaid princess's last sentence, they automatically ignored it. Shengguan Qiu said with a cold face, "Didn't you hear my sister say not to disturb us?" The two of them licked their faces and did not care at all. What a pair of rascals. Shengguan Qiu looked at the two of them with disdain. He pulled the mermaid princess and said with a smile, "Don't mind them. Let's go." The mermaid princess nodded with a smile. Then she ignored the two of them and looked curiously at the shops on both sides of the street. The two young men, despite Shengguan Qiu's disdain, still followed the two of them happily. How shameless. That's right. They're so disdainful of them, and they still have the nerve to go up there? The pedestrians on the street also looked at the two of them with disdain. Wait. I remember now. She seems to be, in the crowd. The Ninth Heaven Palace disciples' eyes suddenly trembled. What do you remember? The companions next to him looked at him suspiciously. The disciple swallowed and transmitted his voice, "She seems to be Jiang Haotian's woman." What? Jiang Haotian's woman? The few of them were shocked and quickly looked at the back of the mermaid princess again. It can't be wrong. It's her. Chapter 2180. That's not right. Why haven't I heard that Jiang Haotian has a woman? A slightly younger disciple asked suspiciously. That's because this woman only appeared once in the past few years. That's why people like you who entered the Nine Heaven Palace later don't know about her existence. Jiang Haotian and I entered the Nine Heaven Palace in the same year. And I was at the square when we signed up. Hua Yi, Fire Lotus Jiang, Jiang Rushuang, and this woman were there. The disciple said. So you're saying that you're friends with him? His companions looked at him in surprise. Friends? The disciple shook his head and said, when we signed up, he was only a low-tier war god. No one expected him to have such achievements today. That's why I didn't try to get close to him. That's a pity. His companion said. Yeah. If I could get close to him, I might be like Hua Yi now and be doing well in the Nine Heaven Palace. The disciple said regretfully. Hua Yi, I'm so jealous of him. Yeah. I heard that he could have such achievements today because of Jiang Haotian's help. The other disciples were also full of hope. However, they didn't know that Hua Yi was the Vice Palace Master's disciple. He didn't need to rely on Qin Feiyang. However, Hua Yi's identity had always been kept a secret. In the eyes of the disciples of the Nine Heaven Palace, he was just an ordinary disciple. Sister, there's a jewelry store in front. Let's go in and take a look. On the street. The mermaid princess saw a luxurious jewelry store and dragged Sheng Guanqiu inside. The two young men also followed them inside. The jewelry store was huge. There were many people inside. Inside, they sold jade, emerald, and gemstones. Every piece was extremely exquisite. I didn't expect Manager Shengguan to come to my small store. A chubby middle-aged fatso walked quickly to Sheng Guanqiu and said with a smile. Fatso Yuan, don't flatter me. Who in the Sky Dragon City doesn't know that your store is the biggest jade store in the city? Every item inside is priceless. Who knows how much you've earned from this jade store? Sheng Guanqiu said. Fatty Yuan laughed and looked at the mermaid princess. He asked suspiciously, who is this? Sheng Guanqiu said, she's my younger sister. I'm accompanying her for a walk. I see. Shall I show you around? Fatso asked. Sure. Sheng Guanqiu nodded. Fatso Yuan, did you not see us? Seeing that Fatso was only talking to Sheng Guanqiu and the mermaid princess, the two young men in purple were very displeased. Fatso was taken aback. He looked at the two of them and smiled, so it's young Master Wang and young Master Li. I'm really sorry. It's all Steward Shengguan and her sister's fault for being too dazzling and not noticing you two. The corners of their mouths twitched. If he didn't like them, just say so. Was there a need to find such a lousy excuse? Young masters, I'll entertain Steward Shengguan and the others first. Feel free to look around. Forgive me, forgive me. Yuan Fatso cupped his hands and said. We're with them. The two of them said with a dark face. What? Together? Fatso was shocked. He looked at Sheng Guanqiu and said, why are you with them? His eyes were full of disdain for the two of them. Don't mind them. They shamelessly followed us. Sheng Guanqiu said indifferently. I see. Fatso smiled and said, let's go. I'll show you the jade. Okay. Sheng Guanqiu nodded. Ladies, look at this blood phoenix jade pendant. This jade pendant is made of phoenix blood jade, which is rarely seen in 10,000 years. We found it in the Sky Dragon Sea. This piece of phoenix blood jade is worth 1 billion divine gems. And this ring is even more amazing. It's made of a million-year-old glaze. It's worth 5 billion divine gems. Fatty Yuan walked in front of them and kept introducing the things placed in the counter. The mermaid princess listened with great interest. Young Master Li observed the mermaid princess and said, brother, she seems to be interested in these things. A little. Young Master Wang nodded and said, why don't we give her a few things? Maybe we can win her heart. Good idea. Young Master Li smiled secretly. Fatso stopped in front of a counter and pointed at a jade pendant. He said with a smile, ladies, take a look at this. Sheng Guanqiu and the mermaid princess looked down and saw an exquisite box on the counter. Inside the box was a jade pendant. The jade pendant was as big as a baby's palm. It was purple gold in color and had 2 divine dragons carved on it. The jade pendant was so exquisite that it looked like it was made by nature. In particular, the carving technique vividly displayed the divine dragon's demeanor, nobility, and arrogance. Overall, they looked like 2 real young dragons. The mermaid princess was stunned and immediately went up to it, her eyes full of curiosity. Seems like you know your stuff. This jade pendant is called the Double Dragon Pendant. It's made of purple gold divine jade. As for its value, someone has already bid 100 billion divine gems. Fatso said with a smile. 100 billion? The mermaid princess was stunned. She said, this jade pendant is indeed exquisite. But 100 billion divine gems, isn't that a bit too much? Too much. Fatso was stunned and shook his head with a smile. You don't know. This double dragon pendant is not only exquisite, but also has a magical ability. What ability? The mermaid princess was suspicious. Fatso looked at a staff member standing behind the counter and said, "Give me the double dragon pendant." The staff member immediately opened the counter and took out the double dragon pendant and handed it to Fatso. "Lady, please take a look," Fatso said to the mermaid princess. He grabbed the double dragon pendant and pulled it gently. Immediately, the originally flawless twin dragon pendants had been split into two halves. "What are you doing?" The mermaid princess was shocked. "Don't panic, lady. This double dragon pendant was originally made of two jade pendants." Fatso held half of it in one hand and said with a smile. The mermaid princess looked carefully. There was indeed no trace of damage at the joint of the two jade pendants. This double dragon pendant actually needs to be separated in order to unleash its magical ability. For example, you and Steward Shengwan. Drip your blood on it and then wear one pendant each. When you are separated in the future, you can clearly sense each other's location through the double dragon pendant. Fatso said with a smile. So magical? The mermaid princess was surprised. No matter how far away they are, they can sense it? Shengwan Xiao was also interested. Yes. As long as they are in the northern region, they can sense it. Even if they enter the land of the dead, the land of the far west, and the sky dragon sea, they can roughly sense each other's location through the double dragon pendant. Fatso said. Shengwan Xiao and the mermaid princess couldn't help but feel a little tempted. Young Master Wang and young Master Li looked at each other and knew that their opportunity had come. Young Master Wang looked at Fatso and said, "We want this double dragon pendant." "You want it?" Fatso looked at the two of them. The two nodded and said proudly, "Isn't it just 100 billion divine crystals? We have a way." The two young masters are really generous. Fatso laughed and then said, "But 100 billion divine crystals is not enough. Didn't you just say that someone else offered 100 billion? The two of them frowned. "Yes. But I didn't sell it. This double dragon pendant is at least 500 billion divine crystals before I sell it," Fatso said. "Damn. Are you taking us for fools?" The two of them said angrily. "No. I didn't force you. You don't have to," Fatso said innocently. The two of them were annoyed. "It's too expensive. I can't afford it." The mermaid princess also shook her head. She didn't even have 50 million divine crystals, let alone 500 billion. "Do you really want it? I'll give it to you," Shengwan Xiao said with a smile. That's not good," the mermaid princess said. "What's wrong with that?" "Fatso, give it to me first. As for the divine crystals, find me in the treasure pavilion later," Shengwan Xiao said. Steward Shengwan is really generous. Unlike some people who want to please others but don't have the strength, Fatso said with a smile. "Damn. Brotherly, he's obviously talking about us," young Master Wang said angrily. Young Master Li's face was also very ugly. He looked at Fatso and said, "Isn't it just 500 billion divine crystals? I'll take it." "Are you sure?" Fatso looked at him. "I'm sure." Young Master Li nodded. Fatso said, "Then pay first and then deliver the goods." "Pay first and then deliver the goods?" Young Master Li was stunned and said angrily, "Can't Shengwan Xiao pay another day? This is different. Steward Shengwan represents the treasure pavilion. The treasure pavilion's reputation is definitely trustworthy," Fatso said. Young Master Li said, "But I also represent the Li family." "The Li family? 500 billion divine gems is indeed nothing to your Li family. However, you might be able to obtain those 500 billion divine crystals from your father. Fatso said. Young Master Li's face was full of anger. Suddenly, with a clang, a black battle-axe appeared. Young Master Li grabbed the battle-axe and pressed it on the counter with a bang. He looked at Fatso and said, "I'll use it as collateral." Fatso looked at the battle-axe with a flash of light in his eyes. He shook his head and said, "Not enough." "Not enough? This is a peak-level divine artifact." Young Master Li said angrily. "I know. But here, I have the final say. If I say it's not enough, it's not enough." Fatso said. Young Master Li was furious. But Shangguanxiu and the Mermaid Princess were next to him, and there were many people around watching the show. He couldn't really get angry. He turned to look at young Master Wang and said, "Brother, give him your peak-level divine artifact too." "Brother Li, this," young Master Wang hesitated. "Don't worry. I'll send the divine crystals to him tomorrow morning at the latest." Young Master Li said. "Okay." Young Master Wang nodded and took out a golden armor from his body. It was also a peak-level divine artifact. Young Master Li looked at Fatso and said, "Is it okay now? 2 peak-level divine artifacts. It's barely enough." Fatso said with a smile. Chapter 2181. Barely enough? Hearing this, both young Master Li and young Master Wang were furious. The value of a peak-level divine artifact could not be measured by divine gems. Even in the treasure house, peak-level divine artifacts were rarely auctioned. But now, 2 peak-level divine artifacts were here, and he said it was barely enough? Wasn't he trying to embarrass them on purpose? But in front of a woman, he had to be gentlemanly. Just bear with it. Young Master Li took a deep breath and reached out his hand. "Give it to me." Fatso looked at the twin dragon pendant reluctantly and handed it to young Master Li. "Young Master Li, keep it well." Young Master Li grabbed it and ignored him. He turned to look at the Mermaid Princess and said with a smile, "Miss, it's fate that brought us together. Please accept the other half." "That's right." He only gave half to the Mermaid Princess. His intention was obvious. The Mermaid Princess looked at the jade pendant and shook her head. "I don't know you. I can't accept your things. Don't misunderstand. I don't mean anything else. It's just a gift for you. Don't be so polite. Just accept it." Young Master Li grabbed the Mermaid Princess's hand and stuffed the other half of the jade pendant into the Mermaid Princess's hand. However, he couldn't bear to let go of his grip. Her skin was so soft and smooth. "What are you doing?" The Mermaid Princess frowned and struggled hard. But young Master Li did not let go. Instead, he used more strength. Seeing this, Shangguanxiu's face darkened. He shouted, "Li, do you want to die?" "Ah!" Young Master Li came back to his senses and quickly let go of the Mermaid Princess. But his face was full of reminiscence. This woman, whether in terms of beauty or other aspects, was the best. "I don't need a gift." The Mermaid Princess threw the jade pendant to young Master Li with a cold face. Then, she pulled Shangguanxiu and walked out. "Don't go." Young Master Li hurriedly called out. Young Master Wang also hurriedly grabbed young Master Li and thought to himself, "Brother Li, you got the advantage. What about me? Don't worry. When I get my hands on it, I'll definitely give you a share." Young Master Li laughed inwardly. All right. Young Master Wang nodded repeatedly. So lively. However, at this moment, a faint laugh was heard. Following closely, a young man in white appeared out of nowhere at the door, blocking Shangguanxiu and the Mermaid Princess. It was Qin Feiyang. It's Jiang Haotian. It's really him. He hasn't changed at all from 5 years ago. He's finally appeared. There was no news of him for the past 5 years. Where did he go? The people inside and outside were in an uproar. Young Master Li and young Master Wang also looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. The person who had disappeared for 5 years had finally appeared. Furthermore, he just so happened to appear here. Was it a coincidence? Why are you here? Wait. You're not secretly following us, are you? Shang Guanqiu thought to himself. How is that possible? I just happened to pass by. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and walked to young Master Li. He smiled and said, Young Master Li, I'm quite interested in this twin dragon pendant. Can I have a look? This, young Master Li looked at the mermaid princess and then at Qin Feiyang. He looked hesitant. Why? Are you not going to give me face? Qin Feiyang was displeased. Young Master Li's expression changed. He quickly said, How can I not give face to Brother Jiang? Since Brother Jiang is interested, I'll give it to you. After saying that, he handed the twin dragon pendant to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang chuckled. He grabbed the twin dragon pendant and looked at it curiously. What the hell is this guy doing? Shang Guanqiu was suspicious. I don't know. The mermaid princess shook her head. After looking at it for a while, Qin Feiyang smiled and said, It's really a good piece of jade. Young Master Li, you've really put in a lot of effort to pick up girls. You have to give up something to gain something. Young Master Li smiled embarrassedly. This sentence makes a lot of sense. Qin Feiyang nodded. He looked at the mermaid princess from head to toe and said, She's really a little beauty. Shang Guanqiu was stunned. He actually pretended that he didn't know her. Young Master Li and young Master Wang looked at each other. Could it be that Jiang Haotian also took a fancy to that woman? Although they had a big family business, the man in front of them was a real ruthless person. Thinking back to 5 years ago, even Feng Yuan's family was defeated by him. They didn't dare to offend such a person at all. Young Master Wang said telepathically, Brother Li, why don't we go with the flow? Go with the flow? Young Master Li was stunned. Yes. We can't afford to offend this person. Why don't we go with the flow? This way, we might be able to make friends with him. Young Master Wang said to himself. Young Master Li thought for a while and said telepathically, It makes sense. We can't offend him because of a woman. Then he went to Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, Brother Jiang, if you are interested in her, then we'll let you have her. Let me have her? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Was he talking in his sleep? Yes. I'll also give you this double dragon pendant. You're new here, so you might not know the specific situation. That woman is very interested in this double dragon pendant. That's why I spent a lot of money to buy this double dragon pendant. Young Master Li said. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at young Master Li and young Master Wang with a trace of ridicule in his eyes. Then he walked towards the mermaid princess. What a pity for such a beauty. Yes. Jiang Haotian is so lucky. Young Master Wang and young Master Li sighed. Wait. That woman may not accept it. Young Master Li suddenly said. Yes. Although Jiang Haotian and Shang Guanqiu have some friendship, it has nothing to do with that woman. She rejected you before, and this Jiang Haotian is probably no exception. To be honest, it's also a pleasure to see Jiang Haotian embarrassed in public. Young Master Wang laughed secretly. Then let's wait and see. Young Master Li crossed his arms and looked like he was watching a show. Qin Feiyang had already walked in front of the mermaid princess. He took half of the jade pendant and handed it to the mermaid princess. He said with a smile, "Little girl, are you willing to accept my love for you?" The mermaid princess looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Was he confessing to her in public? What the hell, so direct? Young Master Li was a little dumbfounded. What a fool. Doesn't he know that he has to pick up girls step by step? Brother Li, just wait and see. That woman will definitely slap him on the spot. Young Master Wang sneered. He's really a fool. Young Master Li also felt a sense of schadenfreude. The luckiest thing that happened to me in this life is to meet you. I'm willing to use this life to take care of you and protect you. I'm willing to give you all the love I have in this life. I want to hold your hand and be with you until we grow old. I want to hold you and never let go for the rest of my life. In this life, you are the only one for me. Little girl, can you give me this chance? Qin Feiyang looked at the mermaid princess and said with a smile. It's really a confession? The mermaid princess was stunned. Although she had confirmed her relationship with Qin Feiyang for a long time, it was the first time she had officially confessed to him. And in her impression, Qin Feiyang was not a person who would say such words of love. What was going on? Why did it feel a little different today? Qin Feiyang asked, "Are you willing?" Naive, ridiculous. How can such a tacky confession move a woman? Young Master Li and young Master Wang sneered secretly. But at this moment, the mermaid princess suddenly smiled and grabbed the jade pendant in Qin Feiyang's hand. What? She actually accepted it? Young Master Li and young Master Wang's eyes suddenly widened. How could this be? They had already used such cliché confessions a long time ago, and women nowadays did not fall for them at all. But now, with just a few words, the other party had actually accepted it? Are you kidding? Qin Feiyang put his arms around the mermaid princess's slender waist and looked at young Master Li and young Master Wang proudly. You're hugging her now? The two were dumbfounded. They hugged right after the confession. This progress was too fast. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Young Master Li, young Master Wang, now let's settle the score." Settle the score? The two were stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. I can understand that you're attracted to my wife. Who asked her to be so beautiful? But before, young Master Li, you actually took the opportunity to take advantage of her. This is what I can't forgive. Qin Feiyang said. Hearing these words, the two were stunned and could not recover for a long time. He hugged her right after the confession. Not only did he hug her, but he also directly called her his wife. What's more, he even wanted to settle the score with them. It seemed that they knew this woman first. Even if they took advantage of her, it was before the confession. Before the confession, they had not confirmed their relationship. How could they settle the score with them? I'm very easy to talk to. If you apologize obediently, I won't pursue the matter. But if you dare to talk nonsense with me, the consequences are not something you can bear. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Young Master Li's face changed slightly and hurriedly said, Brother Jiang, can you be reasonable? Yes. That was before your confession. Besides, we didn't do anything to her. Young Master Wang also said. You want to talk nonsense with me? Okay, I'll tell you. You're not allowed to even think about my, Jiang Haotian's, woman, let alone touch her. Qin Feiyang shouted. Young Master Wang's eyes trembled and said secretly, Brother Li, what should we do? How would I know? Young Master Li said angrily. He never thought that things would develop to this point. Qin Feiyang glanced at the two peak-level divine artifacts on the counter, then took a step forward and grabbed them in his hand. He said with a smile, these two divine artifacts are compensation. No. The two hurriedly cried out. You can't just say no. Are you in charge now? Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and directly sent the 2 divine artifacts to the castle. It's over. The 2 immediately collapsed powerlessly. Qin Feiyang returned to the mermaid princess's side and looked at the 2. He said lightly, I originally planned to not pursue the matter if you had a better attitude and accepted these 2 divine artifacts. But you're not willing? This makes me unhappy. Chapter 2182. What else do you want? The 2 of them glared at Qin Feiyang angrily. Chop off your hands. Qin Feiyang said. What? The 2 of them trembled. Chopping off their hands was nothing. They could be reborn after taking the divine elixir of life. But they couldn't stand the humiliation. Qin Feiyang said coldly, do you want me to do it myself? Don't push us too far. The 2 of them shouted. How dare you touch my woman? Not to mention bullying you, even the families behind you won't be able to withstand my wrath. Qin Feiyang shouted, his eyes filled with killing intent. The 2 of them trembled. Yes. Even the Feng family was defeated by him, let alone their families. Qin Feiyang said, I'll ask you one last time. Are you going to chop or not? Chop, chop, chop. The 2 of them nodded and took out a dagger from their interspatial rings. They clenched their teeth and cut their wrists. Crack. Blood gushed out and dyed the ground red. Qin Feiyang nodded his head in satisfaction. He looked at Fatty Yuan who was standing in front of him and an undetectable smile flashed through his eyes. At the same time, Fatso Yuan also smiled at Qin Feiyang. However, the 2 of them didn't say anything. Let's go. Qin Feiyang held the mermaid princess's hand and walked away. Seeing Qin Feiyang so close, Shang Guanqiu couldn't help but feel disappointed. However, it quickly dissipated, and then he quickly left the jade shop. How dare he mess with Jiang Haotian's woman? He's really arrogant. He finally hit a wall this time. Let's see if he dares to act like a tyrant in Sky Dragon City. After Qin Feiyang and the other 2 left, the people inside and outside immediately looked at the 2 of them with gloating eyes. It's not like that. Jiang Haotian is being unreasonable. The 2 of them shouted hysterically. Jiang Haotian is being unreasonable? Young Master Li, young Master Wang, it seems that you really don't know that woman's identity. Let me tell you, she had already appeared before senior brother Jiang entered Nine Heavens Palace. Furthermore, at that time, she was already senior brother Jiang's woman. The disciples of Nine Heavens Palace were also watching the show, and when they saw the 2 of them complaining about being wronged, they couldn't help but reveal the truth. What? She has long been Jiang Haotian's woman? So you're saying that we were tricked by Jiang Haotian? Young Master Li and the young man looked at each other. Plotting against you? Don't be naive. What qualifications do you have for senior brother Jiang to scheme against you? You guys overestimated yourselves and provoked his woman. That's why he taught you guys a lesson. You should be satisfied. After all, you didn't lose your lives because of this. After the Nine Heavens Palace's disciples finished speaking, they left with sneers on their faces. So she was originally Jiang Haotian's woman. No wonder she accepted Jiang Haotian's confession. Only then did everyone come to a realization. However, young Master Li and young Master Li both had long faces. Why were they so unlucky? They had provoked this vicious person. Sigh. We lost a peak divine artifact. How are we going to explain this when we return? The 2 of them got up in a sorry state and walked out with their tails between their legs. Wait. However, at this moment, Fatso spoke up. What? The 2 of them turned back to look at him. Fatso said, of course, it's to settle the divine crystals for the twin dragon pendant. The 2 of them were stunned and immediately said angrily, Isn't the twin dragon pendant in Jiang Haotian's hands right now? Why are you still asking us for divine crystals? Nonsense. It's not like I gave it to Jiang Haotian. It's you guys. Moreover, everyone here saw with their own eyes that I personally handed the twin dragon pendant to you. If I don't ask you for divine crystals now, who else can I ask? Fatso said. Young Master Li said angrily, but we also used 2 peak divine artifacts, yes. You used 2 peak divine artifacts as collateral. But did I take them? No way. In fact, I didn't even touch them from the beginning to the end. Since I didn't take them, then this collateral can't be counted. Fatso said. You're extorting us. The 2 of them glared at Fatso angrily. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say such things carelessly. Everyone is watching. How is this extortion? In short, if you don't settle the bill today, don't even think about leaving. Men. Fatso shouted. Several burly men immediately ran out from the side door. Drag them to the back and inform the Li family and the Wang family. Tell them to bring the divine crystals to ransom them. Fatso said. Yes. The burly men nodded. Young Master Li and Young Master Li felt bitter. Not only were their hands chopped off in front of everyone, they were humiliated and lost a peak divine artifact. Now, they had to pay 500 billion divine crystals. What a huge loss. On the street, Qin Feiyang walked expressionlessly. The mermaid princess leaned on Qin Feiyang's shoulder like a little bird. Their hands were tightly clasped together. What's wrong? You haven't said a word since you came out. Sheng Guanxiu looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. You're still asking me? Qin Feiyang was instantly annoyed. What do you mean? Sheng Guanxiu was confused. Qin Feiyang stopped and looked at Sheng Guanxiu. He said angrily, I trusted you with her, but how did you take care of her? How could you let those 2 pieces of trash touch her? Sheng Guanxiu's face froze. The mermaid princess said, Brother Tian, you can't blame Sister Shengguan. Those 2 are too shameless. Shut up. Qin Feiyang scowled. The mermaid princess stuck out her tongue and stood obediently beside Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang looked at Sheng Guanxiu and said, Let me tell you. Fortunately, we're friends. Otherwise, I wouldn't let you go. Fine. You're good. I can't afford to offend you. Goodbye. No, never see you again. Sheng Guanxiu was also angry. He roared and turned to leave angrily. Sister Shengguan. The mermaid princess panicked and hurried to chase after him. Don't chase him. Qin Feiyang pulled her back. What are you doing? It's not Sister Shengguan's fault. The mermaid princess said unhappily. I know it's not her fault. I've been following you and saw the whole thing. Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid princess was puzzled. Then why are you so fierce to her? Qin Feiyang said, It's all because of your nonsense. I'm nonsense? The mermaid princess was even more puzzled. Qin Feiyang said, Old Zhao told me everything. The mermaid princess was stunned and muttered, He's too talkative. You call that talkative? Old Zhao is doing it for our own good. Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid princess frowned and said, That's not nonsense. You, Qin Feiyang angrily knocked on the mermaid princess's forehead and sighed. You know that I can't accept any other woman in my heart except for you. How would you know if you don't try? The mermaid princess still gave up. What's wrong with you? Isn't it good to have such a devoted man? Why do you have to push me into the arms of other women? If you really want to do that, fine. I'll love every woman I see in the future. Qin Feiyang said angrily. Don't be angry. I don't really want to push you into the arms of other women. You see, even if it's an outstanding woman like Shengguanqiu, I still have to observe her first. The mermaid princess said with a smile. Don't think so much. Your man's name is Qin Feiyang. Does he need to rely on women to survive in the ancient world? Qin Feiyang secretly snorted. Yes, yes, yes. You can do it. I was wrong, okay? I promise, I won't do it again. The mermaid princess raised her hand and said. You. Qin Feiyang glared at her, then a smile crept onto his face as he said, Were you moved by my confession just now? Yes. But also very surprised. How can a blockhead like you think of such a mushy thing? The mermaid princess giggled. Qin Feiyang grinned and said, I also admire myself. If it were in the past, I would never have said such a thing. Yes, that's rare. The mermaid princess nodded and felt happy. Actually, I confessed to you because I wanted to let those trash know that you're my woman, so that they won't harass you in the future. Secondly, I wanted to tell Shengguanqiu that it's impossible between me and her. As you said, she's a good woman. She can't be ruined by me. She deserves a better home. Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid princess nodded. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, Let me tell you another secret. What secret? The mermaid princess was puzzled. Qin Feiyang said, Actually, I ordered Fatso to do those things before. You ordered him to do that? The mermaid princess was stunned. Yes. Since they dared to have improper thoughts about my woman, they have to pay a price. So I secretly asked Fatso to provoke young Master Li and Shengguanqiu, and then come out to teach them a lesson. Qin Feiyang said. I see. No wonder you and he had a strange look in your eyes when you left. So you've already colluded with each other. The mermaid princess suddenly understood. Those two are stupid. They were really angered by Fatso and took out 2 peak-level divine artifacts. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The mermaid princess asked, Did you and Fatso know each other before? No. Qin Feiyang shook his head. If you don't know each other, why would he help you? And it doesn't seem to be good for him. The mermaid princess was puzzled. Silly girl. You've been shopping with Shengguanqiu for so long. Don't you know your man's status in the northern region? As long as I say the word, who won't help? Qin Feiyang said proudly. Look at how proud you are. The mermaid princess rolled her eyes. Qin Feiyang chuckled and said, As for the benefits, of course there are. What benefits? The mermaid princess was suspicious. This twin dragon pendant is indeed extraordinary, but it's not worth 500 billion. At most, it's worth 200 billion. And now, young Master Li and Shengguanqiu are going to pay him 500 billion divine crystals. This is several times the profit. Of course he's happy. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Wait. Why don't I understand? Aren't the twin dragon pendant in our hands now? The mermaid princess said. You don't admit that you're stupid. Think about it, who gave me the twin dragon pendant? It's young Master Li and Shengguanqiu. Now that I've taken the twin dragon pendant, Fatso must be going to them to pay the bill. Qin Feiyang said. So that's how it is. The mermaid princess suddenly understood. I like your kindness and innocence, so don't think about these scheming things. I've already told Fatso what to do. Whether he can get the 500 billion divine crystals in the end will depend on his means. Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid princess looked at Qin Feiyang affectionately and suddenly giggled. Well, I'll have you for everything. From now on, I'll be responsible for being a naive and happy little woman. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Let's go. I'll show you around. Okay. The mermaid princess nodded. Her obedient appearance made Qin Feiyang like her even more. His eyes were full of love for the mermaid princess. Fupin Chinese. Chapter 2183. Treasure Pavilion. Bastard, bastard, you're such a bastard. Sheng Guanqiu was lying on the desk, crying and cursing at the same time. Her face was full of grievance. Little Qiu, what are you doing? All of a sudden, a faint laugh was heard. As the laughter ended, an old man with white hair and a walking stick appeared in front of the desk out of thin air. Deputy Pavilion Master. Sheng Guanqiu quickly stood up, wiped away her tears, tidied herself up, and bowed to him. Why are you crying at such an old age? Did someone bully you? Tell me, I'll go and settle the score with him. The Deputy Pavilion Master said angrily. No, no. Sheng Guanqiu quickly waved her hands. Silly girl, do you think I don't know? If I didn't know, I wouldn't have come to comfort you. The Deputy Pavilion Master sighed, his eyes full of heartache. Sheng Guanqiu was stunned and frowned. Sir, did you send someone to follow me? Follow? Do you think I have the time? You were scolded by Jiang Haotian on the street. There were so many people watching. How could I not know? The Deputy Pavilion Master said unhappily. Sheng Guanqiu hurriedly said, I'm sorry, sir, I thought too much. It's okay. The Deputy Pavilion Master waved his hand and sat by the tea table. Come and sit down. Sheng Guanqiu quickly walked to the tea table and sat opposite the Deputy Pavilion Master. The Deputy Pavilion Master asked, Tell me honestly, do you really like Jiang Haotian? Sheng Guanqiu's body stiffened. The Deputy Pavilion Master smiled. Just tell me, don't be shy. Sheng Guanqiu hesitated for a while and said, I don't know. If you like him, you like him. If you don't like him, you don't like him. What's there to be confused about? The Deputy Pavilion Master looked at her suspiciously. It's hard to describe this feeling. Sheng Guanqiu said. The Deputy Pavilion Master was stunned and asked curiously, Tell me about it. I've been there before, I can help you. When I first met him, I didn't like him. Instead, I was a little disgusted. Because he's a little arrogant and doesn't put anyone in his heart. He's always full of confidence as if victory is in his grasp. But later on, after getting along with him, I realized that he actually has many good points. For example, he's loyal, and smart. Especially when he was dealing with the Feng clan. His calm and composed attitude in the face of danger made me gradually admire him. But it's just appreciation. Even though there were countless rumors about what happened between me and him later, I didn't take it to heart. But during the 5 years he disappeared, I couldn't help but think of him every night. And it's getting stronger each time. Now that I think about it, I've seen countless handsome young men in the Treasure Pavilion over the years, but I've never seen a man make me feel this way. Sheng Guanqiu said softly. The Vice Pavilion Master pondered for a while and asked, How did you feel when he appeared in front of you after disappearing for 5 years? Sheng Guanqiu said, When I returned to the study in the afternoon, I saw him sitting by the coffee table. I was very happy. The Vice Pavilion Master said, How did you feel when you heard him confess to that girl in the jade shop? Very disappointed and melancholy. Sheng Guanqiu said. The Vice Pavilion Master said, And then on the street, he blamed you. You felt wronged and sad, right? Sheng Guanqiu nodded. Silly girl. That's because you like him. The Vice Pavilion Master sighed. Is that what it means to like someone? Sheng Guanqiu murmured. So this is how it feels to like someone. Actually, as early as 5 years ago, I wanted to matchmake you too, but he rejected me directly. The reason is that he already has someone in his heart. And this time, when he confessed to that girl in public, he's indirectly telling you that he won't like another girl. The Vice Pavilion Master said. So that's how it is. How shameless. Who would like him? Shangguan Qiu said disdainfully. You're such a stubborn girl. But it's not too late to turn back now. Although I don't have much contact with Jiang Haotian, I can tell that he's a very infatuated person. So, it's impossible between you and him. If you insist, you'll be the one who gets hurt. This is not what your master and I want to see. We all want you to be happy and happy. The vice pavilion master smiled. Shangguan Qiu said, thank you for your concern. Girl, you're so beautiful and capable. The people who like you can line up from here to Empyrean Palace. There's no need to be sad for him. It's better for you and him to let go as soon as possible. The vice pavilion master said. Line up from here to Empyrean Palace? Shangguan Qiu blushed. She lowered her head and said, Sir, is it so exaggerated? I'm being conservative, so it's not exaggerated at all. The vice pavilion master smiled. Shangguan Qiu was quite embarrassed. She got up and said gratefully, thank you for your advice, sir. I'll think about it seriously. Think about it? The vice pavilion master was stunned. Wasn't he clear enough? He wanted her to let go, not think about it. Wait a minute. Could it be that this girl's feelings for Jiang Haotian were deeper than he thought? So she had no choice but to make a decision immediately? Don't say. That was really possible. After all, it was 5 years of lovesickness. This kind of feeling, perhaps even this girl herself didn't realize it. That was not a good thing. Sir, I'll get back to work. Shangguan Qiu smiled, turned around, and walked out of the study quickly. The vice pavilion master wanted to stop her and persuade her, but he swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. Forget it. Let the young people deal with their own matters. I don't ask for anything else. I just hope for a perfect ending. The vice pavilion master shook his head and smiled. In the blink of an eye. 10 days passed. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess left their footprints in every corner of Sky Dragon City. In any case, for the next 10 days, they didn't think about anything else. They ate, drank, and played. Late at night. South City. In a restaurant. Qin Feiyang stood in front of the window, looking at the moon outside. The mermaid princess nestled in his arms obediently. Are you happy these days? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. As long as you're here, no matter what I do, no matter where I am, I'm happy. The mermaid princess nodded. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he couldn't help but tighten his grip on the mermaid princess, as if he was deeply afraid that she would fly away from his embrace. The room became quiet again. Seeing that Qin Feiyang did not speak, the mermaid princess asked suspiciously, What are you thinking about? How about, Qin Feiyang hesitated for a moment and said, Why don't we get married? Get married? The mermaid princess was stunned. She looked up at Qin Feiyang and asked, Are you kidding? No. Old Zhao is right. You've been so good to me. I should give you an official status. Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid princess looked at Qin Feiyang in a daze. To be honest, she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. But then, she lowered her head and fell silent. What's wrong? You don't want to? Qin Feiyang asked nervously. I do. Of course I do. The mermaid princess hurriedly said. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, Then why don't you say anything? I think that marriage is a big event. Parents should be present. But now, we're in the ancient world. Both of our parents are not here. I feel that if we get married now, it won't be perfect. The mermaid princess said. But, Qin Feiyang frowned. Are you afraid that I'll run away with someone else? The mermaid princess asked with a smile. Of course not. I'm such a good man. You won't be able to find one even if you look around, Qin Feiyang said proudly. The mermaid princess didn't refute and just looked at him quietly. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but look embarrassed. He smiled and said, "Well, I admit that I'm a little scared." "You're so stubborn." The mermaid princess rolled her eyes at him and turned to lie in Qin Feiyang's arms. She whispered, "Don't worry, I've already attached myself to you in this life. Even if you want to drive me away, I won't leave." "Thank you." Qin Feiyang was extremely touched. "Fool." The mermaid princess said angrily. "I'm a fool. A fool has a fool's luck." Qin Feiyang laughed mischievously. "You're not serious." The mermaid princess rolled her eyes and said, "Do you think we can go back in the future?" "Of course. I promise you that not only will we be able to go back, but everyone will return to the great Qin Empire alive. Including the ancestors." Qin Feiyang smiled. "I believe you." The mermaid princess nodded. With the beauty in his arms and her fragrance in his nose, Qin Feiyang was a little uneasy. He chuckled and said, "Little girl, it's so quiet in the middle of the night. Should we, bad guy, what are you thinking?" The mermaid princess said angrily, but she didn't have the slightest intention of resisting. Her cheeks were red like a ripe peach. "What do you think I'm thinking?" Qin Feiyang laughed and carried the mermaid princess to the bed next to them. Dong! However, at this moment, there was a knock on the door. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, and a burst of anger immediately rose in his heart. Who was so insensible to come and cause trouble in the middle of the night? Seeing the flustered and exasperated Qin Feiyang, the mermaid princess didn't say anything and just looked at him with a smile. "Still smiling? Little girl, let's see how I'll deal with you today." Qin Feiyang threw the mermaid princess on the bed and pounced on her like a hungry wolf. "Someone is looking for you." The mermaid princess was stunned. "Ignore him." Qin Feiyang shook his head. How could he be in the mood to care about other things now? Dong! But at this moment, there was another knock on the door. A row of black lines appeared on Qin Feiyang's forehead. He rushed to the door angrily and opened it, only to see 4 people standing outside. "What are you doing? Don't you know what time it is now? Get lost." Before he could see the 4 people's faces clearly, Qin Feiyang shouted angrily and then closed the door with a bang. The 4 people outside the door looked at each other. What was going on? Looking for someone in the middle of the night, you really don't know how to behave at all. Qin Feiyang shook his head and looked at the mermaid princess lying on the bed, who was looking at him with a smile. He snorted and said, "Don't be complacent. No matter what you say tonight, I won't let you go." After that, he ran to the bed excitedly. Dong! But at this moment, there was another knock on the door. Chapter 2184. Damn you! Qin Feiyang was about to explode. He turned around and walked towards the door with a gloomy face. Mermaid Princess also stood up. She tidied up her messy dress and hair. Then, she stood aside and looked at Qin Feiyang with amusement. Qin Feiyang opened the door and stared at the 4 of them fiercely. When the 4 of them saw Qin Feiyang in this state, they couldn't help but feel nervous. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked past the 2 people in front of him and saw the 2 people standing behind them. They were 2 young men in purple. They had extraordinary looks and a hint of arrogance in their expressions. "It's you guys?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "That's right. These 2 people were young Master Li and young Master Wang, who were taught a lesson by Qin Feiyang 10 days ago." The 2 of them smiled unnaturally at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 people in front of him. They were middle-aged men who were neatly dressed. Their eyes were full of vigor and there was a threatening aura between their eyebrows. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, "You guys are?" "I'm Wang Dehai." "I'm Li Changfeng." "Nice to meet you, Brother Jiang." The two of them cupped their hands and smiled. "Wang Dehai? Li Changfeng?" Qin Feiyang mumbled and asked, "You guys are their fathers?" "Yes." The two of them nodded. "What's the matter?" Qin Feiyang frowned. Wang Dehai smiled and said, 10 days ago, these two unfilial sons failed to recognize Brother Jiang and offended you. Therefore, we brought them here specially to ask for your forgiveness." "Ask for your forgiveness?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He sneered and said, "I'm afraid it's not that simple. Come in and talk." After that, Qin Feiyang turned and walked into the tea room. The mermaid princess obediently walked beside him and began to make tea. Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng looked at each other and quickly walked into the room. When they saw the mermaid princess, they were stunned. They immediately understood why Qin Feiyang was so angry. "Little brother, I'm really sorry. We didn't know that you were resting. Why don't we come back tomorrow?" The two hurriedly said. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, "Since you're already here, just say what you have to say. Then I'll have to trouble you." The two of them cupped their hands and smiled, then walked into the tea room. However, young Master Li and young Master Li stood outside the door without moving. They seemed to be very afraid. "Why are you still standing outside? Come in quickly!" Wang Dehai shouted. Their bodies trembled, and they hurriedly ran into the room. Qin Feiyang said, "Close the door." Young Master Li hurriedly turned around and closed the door. Li Changfeng looked at the two of them and said sternly, "Get over here and kneel down to apologize." "Big Brother Jiang, I'm sorry. It's all our fault. We won't dare to do it again." That's right, that's right. Please forgive us." The two of them hurriedly ran into the tea room, knelt on the floor, and begged. "Enough." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and stopped the two of them. He looked at Wang Dehai and young Master Li and said, "Tell me your real purpose." The two of them looked at each other and bowed. "Little brother Jiang, please be magnanimous and return the two pinnacle divine weapons to us." "I knew it wasn't that simple." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. The two of them laughed dryly, full of flattery. "Pinnacle divine weapons," Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and asked curiously, "Although I don't know the Li family and Wang family well, since you can take out 500 billion divine gems, you must be a famous family in Sky Dragon City." We're sorry. Our two families are considered one of the 4 major families in Sky Dragon City." The two of them waved their hands and said, "One of the 4 major families?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and a little surprised. He smiled and said, "I didn't expect you to be so humble." No. In front of little brother Jiang, the 4 major families are not worth mentioning." The two of them laughed. "If you're too humble, you're showing off. Since the two of you are one of the 4 major families in Sky Dragon City, you definitely don't lack divine weapons. But why are you humbling yourself and asking for them back?" Qin Feiyang said. "Little brother, aren't you asking the obvious? Pinnacle divine weapons are not comparable to perfect divine weapons. There aren't many divine weapons in Sky Dragon City. Moreover, no one would be willing to sell divine weapons of this grade. So, every pinnacle divine weapon is extremely rare. And our 2 families only have one. You can say that it's the treasure of our families." The two of them said. "Only one?" Qin Feiyang smirked and glanced at young Master Li and Wang Changfeng. He sneered and said, "If there's only one, would you be willing to give it to these 2 prodigal sons?" Wang Dehai and Wang Changfeng looked at each other and anger flashed in their eyes. How could he call his son a prodigal son in front of his father? What did he think of them? Li Changfeng suppressed his anger and said with a smile, Brother Jiang, what we said is true. We're not lying to you. Are you sure? Qin Feiyang looked at him playfully. I'm sure. Li Changfeng nodded. Good. Although I've left Nine Heaven Palace, there are still many people in Nine Heaven Palace who are friends with me. I'll get them to check on the two of you now. If they find out that you have extra pinnacle divine weapons, give them all to me. Qin Feiyang said. The two of them froze. Actually, I can understand you. After all, pinnacle divine weapons are as rare as you said. However, it won't be easy for me to spit them out once they're in my mouth. Qin Feiyang said plainly. State your conditions. As long as it's within our means, it's fine. Wang Dehai said. Before they came, they had already expected that it wouldn't be easy to get the two divine weapons back from this person. No conditions. In other words, no matter what you say, I won't return them to you. Actually, you should feel lucky. Because with my character, anyone who offends me won't have a good ending. This time, I've only taken away two divine weapons and chopped off their hands. I've already left enough face for both of you. Qin Feiyang said. The two of them couldn't help but frown. Qin Feiyang said plainly, if there's nothing else, please. Wang Dehai said, we're here with sincerity. Qin Feiyang said, didn't I receive you politely? You call this politeness? Wang Dehai was instantly enraged. He said in a low voice, is there really no room for negotiation? Qin Feiyang said, I don't want to repeat myself. Don't go overboard. Don't forget that you're no longer a disciple of Ninth Heaven Palace. Wang Dehai couldn't help but stare at Qin Feiyang furiously. So what? Do you dare to attack me because I'm not a disciple of Ninth Heaven Palace? As one of the four major families of Sky Dragon City, you should have many disciples in Ninth Heaven Palace. Then, you must know how I killed Feng Zihan back then. Don't misunderstand. I'm not threatening you. I just want to tell you that it's best to be rational when you speak and do things. Otherwise, you'll bring disaster to your clan. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Disaster to our clan. Wang Dehai and Wang Dehai's pupils contracted. Qin Feiyang pointed to the door and said, take care. I won't send you off. Their faces were as dark as water. Didn't you hear me clearly? Seeing the two of them standing there without moving, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but have a cold look in his eyes. Sigh. The two of them sighed helplessly. They looked at young Master Li and Wang Dehai and said, they have already asked us to leave. Why are you still kneeling? Get up and go home. Young Master Li and young Master Wang quickly got up and followed Wang Dehai and Wang Dehai to the door. But when they reached the door, Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng sneered coldly at the same time. Do it. Immediately after. The two of them shouted in unison. Immediately. Two black-clothed old men appeared beside the mermaid princess out of thin air and grabbed her arms. Qin Feiyang suddenly stood up. The mermaid princess was also panicking. Right at this moment. Wang Dehai and Jiang Haotian laughed heartily. They slowly turned their heads to look at Qin Feiyang and said, Jiang Haotian, how good would it be if you had obediently returned the divine artifact to us? Why did you have to force us to attack? Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and then at the two old men in black. Their auras were unfathomable. They were at least at the monarch god level. He looked at the flustered mermaid princess and comforted her. I'm here. Don't be afraid. It's useless even if you're here. I'm not afraid to tell you now. When we came in, Old Wang and Old Li had already followed us in secretly. It's just that the space divine item they were hiding in was embedded with the soul concealing stone. Young Master Li and young Master Wang were no longer humble. They looked at Qin Feiyang with sneers on their faces. The two old men in black were also sneering. Qin Feiyang glanced at the six of them and said in a deep voice, "Let me give you a piece of advice. You'd better let her go immediately." "What if we don't?" "Now that she's in our hands, what can you do even if you're extremely capable?" Young Master Li and Old Li walked to the mermaid princess and chuckled. "Do you know what consequences this will bring to you?" Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them gloomily. "We don't know. But we know that after you die, we'll definitely take good care of her for you." Young Master Li and Old Li smiled obscenely and emphasized the word, "take good care." Huff. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath. He didn't want to talk nonsense with these two pieces of trash. He turned to Wang Dehai and Old Li and said, "Are you sure you won't let her go? You should be clear about the situation. Now, we have the final say. And you don't even have the right to negotiate with us. But that's not important. Anyway, you have to die. After all, you, Jiang Haotian, are still a threat." Wang Dehai walked leisurely to the front of the coffee table. He sat down on the chair and smiled at Qin Feiyang. "Don't talk nonsense with him." Li Changfeng smiled coldly. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Are you going to do it yourself, or should we?" Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them with flickering eyes. Suddenly, he said, "I'm a little puzzled. Isn't it just two pinnacle divine artifacts? Is there a need to kill me?" "Of course it's not just those two divine artifacts," Wang Dehai said. Qin Feiyang's heart skipped a beat. He asked, "Is there any other reason?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2185. That's right. Who doesn't know that you have a crimson sword with you and that you can easily cripple Shengguan Fenglan? This crimson sword is very attractive. Wang Dehai smiled and looked at Qin Feiyang with greed on his face. "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "I thought there was someone backing you guys up. After all, ordinary people don't have the guts to deal with me." Hearing Qin Feiyang, Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng's faces changed slightly but returned to normal immediately. However, no matter how fast they tried to hide it, Qin Feiyang caught it with his observation skills that he had trained for many years. Could it be that there was someone backing them up? Li Changfeng shouted impatiently, "Don't talk nonsense. Quickly end your own life so that you don't have to suffer physical pain." Qin Feiyang looked at Li Changfeng and suddenly let out a long sigh. "Why are you sighing?" Li Changfeng raised his eyebrows. "I'm sighing. Why are there people as stupid as you guys in this world? Of all people, you chose to provoke me. Do you guys really understand my means?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "If you want to see your woman die in front of you, you can try." Li Changfeng sneered. "You guys are so stupid that no medicine can save you." Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. He said plainly, "Weapon spirit, do it." Weapon spirit? The six of them were stunned. Bang! A vast pressure suddenly rushed out from Qin Feiyang's body. In an instant, Wang Dehai and his son, Li Changfeng and his son, as well as the two old men in black, were imprisoned. What? How can his pressure be so terrifying? The six of them turned pale with fright. Swoosh! At the same time, the weapon spirit appeared from the Sea of Qi and stood beside Qin Feiyang. The blurry figure exuded a shocking aura of death, as though the god of death had descended. Did you see that? This is the difference between us. No matter how powerful you are, you won't be able to do anything to me. Qin Feiyang said with a smile as he looked at the six people. At this moment, how could the six of them still dare to be arrogant? His heart was filled with regret and despair. Who would have thought that there would be such a terrifying expert hiding by his side? Qin Feiyang walked in front of the mermaid princess and pried open the two old men's hands. Then, he looked at the mermaid princess and said, "See, this is why I didn't let you stay outside. Don't I have you?" The mermaid princess giggled. With a helpless smile, Qin Feiyang asked in concern, "You're not frightened, right? With you here, I won't be afraid even if the sky falls." The mermaid princess said. "Pick something nice to say." Qin Feiyang was speechless, but his eyes were full of doting. He said, "The next scene may be a little bloody. You go to the castle first and wait for me to finish." "All right." The mermaid princess nodded. With a wave of Qin Feiyang's hand, the mermaid princess disappeared. Duh. At this moment, there was a burst of hurried footsteps outside. Obviously, the pressure of the artifact spirit had alarmed the people in the restaurant. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He gave the artifact spirit a few instructions and sent the artifact spirit and the 6 people to the Black Tortoise realm. The majesty also dissipated. "Young Master Jiang, are you there?" Soon, an anxious voice sounded from outside. "I'm here." Qin Feiyang replied, but did not open the door. The person outside asked, "Did something happen just now?" "Nothing. There was a problem when I was cultivating," Qin Feiyang said. "Is that so? If there's nothing else, I won't disturb you," the person outside said. "Okay," Qin Feiyang replied. However, after the footsteps faded away, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. He then entered the Black Tortoise realm. Above the herb field, the artifact spirit stood against the wind, and the force of death shrouded the area. Li Changfeng and his son, Wang Dehai and his son, and the 2 old men in black were still imprisoned. Their eyes were filled with fear. Especially when they saw Qin Feiyang appear, young Master Li and young Master Wang were so scared that they peed their pants. "What's that smell?" Qin Feiyang pinched his nose, looked at the 2 of them, and joked, "Where's the arrogance from before? You peed your pants just because of this. It seems like I'm praising you too much by saying that you're talking nonsense. Don't kill us, this time, we really know our mistake," the 2 of them shouted in horror, and their faces turned pale. 10 days ago, I already let you go. How did you repay me? You even said that you would take care of my woman for me. Are you worthy?" Qin Feiyang was disdainful. He turned to the artifact spirit and laughed, "Take good care of them for me." "No problem." The artifact spirit laughed hoarsely, and the force of life and death surged into the bodies of the 2. The 2 of them screamed in agony. The vitality and blood in their bodies were flowing out of their bodies uncontrollably. "Jiang Haotian, no. Brother Jiang, I beg you, this has nothing to do with us. It's our father's plan, just treat us as dogs. Take pity on us and let us go." The 2 of them screamed in despair. Their bodies had shriveled up, and only skin and bones were left. They looked like dried corpses, and it was extremely terrifying. There was no pity on Qin Feiyang's face. He just coldly looked at them. Only when their life force was completely exhausted and they died in despair did he retract his gaze and look at the 2 black-clothed old men. The 2 old men in black panicked. "Do you know? You deserve to die more than the 2 of them. Because you hurt the woman that I love the most," Qin Feiyang said. "How did we hurt her?" The 2 of them hurriedly said. "You captured her and used her to threaten me. That's the same as hurting her. So, your end will be more miserable than theirs." Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and an axe appeared. This was the pinnacle divine artifact that he had snatched from young Master Li. Next, Qin Feiyang waved the axe, and slashed the 2 of them. Flesh and blood fell, and bones broke. The heart-wrenching pain made them wish they were dead. Their screams were even more miserable. After 10 breaths, the two of them were cut into 8 pieces, and their blood dyed the void red. The axe was also dripping with blood. After the two of them died, Qin Feiyang held the axe and walked towards Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng. "Don't come over, I beg you, stay away from us." After witnessing the tragic death of young Master Li and the other two old men in black, the two of them were terrified to the extreme. This axe is indeed a pinnacle divine artifact. It can even chop the body of an ultimate god into pieces easily. I think it should be more than enough to deal with the two of you. Qin Feiyang laughed. "You're a devil," Wang Dehai roared. "Yes. I'm a devil. The two of you are stupid. You've angered a devil. So? Just now, the two of you arrogantly said that I'm not qualified to negotiate. What about now?" Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and laughed. Sorry, we were foolish just now. If you let us go, we'll give you all the treasures in our treasure vaults," the two of them exclaimed. They couldn't care less about other things now. Their lives were more important. Sigh. "I've told you not to provoke me. Why didn't the two of you listen to me? Great. Not only is your son dead, but the two of you are going to die too. It's not worth it." Qin Feiyang sighed. The two of them turned pale and shivered. They were full of regret. Why did he have to be possessed and come to provoke this devil? Qin Feiyang laughed and said, "However, before I kill the two of you, I have a question that I would like you to answer." Upon hearing this, Wang Dehai made up his mind and roared, "We're going to die anyway. Don't expect us to answer any of your questions." Qin Feiyang said, "Although you're going to die, I'll consider leaving your corpses intact." "What's the difference between that and death?" Wang Dehai asked. "There's still a difference. After all, as you said before, you won't have to suffer physical pain." Qin Feiyang laughed. "Come on. I'm not afraid." Wang Dehai shouted. "You have backbone." Qin Feiyang looked at Wang Dehai in surprise. After pondering for a while, he laughed and said, "How about this? As long as you tell me the truth, I'll consider letting the two of you go." "Really?" Wang Dehai was stunned and asked hurriedly. Li Changfeng also stared at Qin Feiyang. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. Wang Dehai asked, "What do you want to know?" Qin Feiyang said, "Is there anyone who instigated the two of you?" When the two of them heard this, a trace of panic immediately crept up on their faces. "I want to hear the truth," Qin Feiyang said. Wang Dehai sighed and nodded. "Yes. There really is." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly as he asked, "Who instigated the two of you?" "You know her. She's Yin Hui," Wang Dehai said. "Yin Hui?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He did not expect it to be this woman. "Initially, we've already given up on asking you for the pinnacle divine weapon because we know that you're not someone to be trifled with. Hence, we're treating it as a greeting gift to make friends with you," Wang Dehai said. "That's right. If we wanted to get the divine weapon back from the start, we wouldn't have to wait until today, 10 days later." Li Changfeng also added. Qin Feiyang nodded. He looked at the two of them and asked, "When did Yin Hui appear?" Chapter 2186. Wang Dehai said, "Just this morning." "This morning?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "Yes. This morning, she changed her appearance and sneaked into the mansion to look for me. She wanted me to help her deal with you. At first, I didn't agree. Because I know your means. Those who go against you won't have a good ending. However, she said that as long as the plan is thorough, there won't be any mistakes. Moreover, she gave me a condition that I couldn't refuse." Wang Dehai sighed, his face full of regret. "What condition?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Wang Dehai said, "One level 6 soul line." What? Level 6 soul line? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at Li Changfeng and said, "You too?" "Yes." Li Changfeng nodded. Qin Feiyang said in disbelief, "That means she has at least 2 level 6 soul lines now." Wang Dehai said, "Feng Yuan was once the Nine Heavens Palace's resource hall master. It's normal for him to have soul lines." Soul line? Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. He looked at the two of them and asked, "Where is Yin Hui now?" "I don't know." The two of them shook their heads. "You don't know?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. "After reaching an agreement, she left." Wang Dehai said. "Left?" Qin Feiyang frowned. Suddenly, Wang Dehai added, "However, before she left, she said that when the news of your death spreads, she will appear again. When she sees your corpse with her own eyes, she will give us the soul line." Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Do you really believe that she will give you the soul line? After all, we are one of the 4 major families in Sky Dragon City. Now that we have lost Feng Yuan's backing, she dares to lie to us." Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng sneered. Qin Feiyang was stunned. The two of them were too naive. Although they didn't have much contact with Yin Hui, she was definitely shrewd since she could become Elder Yun's disciple and Elder Yun was willing to risk universal condemnation to save her. The two of them were completely toyed with by her. However, he could beat them at their own game. Didn't Yin Hui want to see his corpse? Then let her see it. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. He looked at Wang Dehai and the other man and smiled. "I'm very satisfied with your performance. As long as you're satisfied. Can you let us go now?" The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang nervously. "Don't worry. It's not over yet. I still need your help." Qin Feiyang smiled. "It's our honor to serve you. Go ahead." The two of them smiled flatteringly. Qin Feiyang said, "Before you say anything, you have to let me control you first." "Control?" The smiles on their faces froze. "Don't be nervous. After Yin Hui dies, I will immediately remove my control over you." Qin Feiyang said. The two of them hesitated. Once it was controlled, it would not be up to them to decide whether to release it. Qin Feiyang asked, "Do you know about Guiyong?" "Of course. He's Feng Yuan's confidant." The two of them nodded. "Then you should have heard of his deeds. Initially, I wanted to kill him too. However, I saw that he still had some value. Hence, I only controlled him. Later on, he turned over a new leaf and helped me wholeheartedly. Hence, after getting rid of Feng Yuan, I removed my control over him. However, I did not expect that he still could not escape death. He was killed by Feng Zihan. However, in order to avenge him, I killed Feng Zihan with my own hands. I believe that from this point, you should be able to see that I'm not an unreasonable person." Qin Feiyang said. Wang Dehai and the other man looked at each other. They gritted their teeth and nodded. "All right, we'll let you control us." Qin Feiyang smiled and formed seals with both hands. 2 puppet imprints condensed rapidly. "Don't resist. Otherwise, not only will you be implicated, but your families will also be implicated," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. After which, he waved his hand and the 2 puppet imprints disappeared into the top of their heads at lightning speed. After controlling the two of them, Qin Feiyang read their memories. The results proved that the two of them were not lying. Wang Dehai asked, "What should we do next?" "Don't be anxious." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and nodded to the weapon spirit. The weapon spirit retracted his aura. The two of them instantly regained their freedom. They looked at the weapon spirit and the grey castle with fear in their eyes. What level of divine artifact was this? It was actually so powerful. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where's Fire Lotus?" The weapon spirit seemed to be a little flustered. Qin Feiyang gradually frowned and said, "I'm asking you a question. Where's Fire Lotus?" Sigh. The weapon spirit sighed and looked at Qin Feiyang. "She's still in the Sky Dragon Sea." Qin Feiyang heard the weapon spirit's tone and suddenly felt uneasy. He asked, "Did something happen to her?" "It's not considered an accident," the weapon spirit said. "Can you make it clear? What exactly happened?" Qin Feiyang said angrily. The weapon spirit hesitated for a while and shook his head. "I can't let you know about this for now." "Why?" Qin Feiyang frowned and asked. The weapon spirit said, "Fire Lotus told me not to tell you first. When you meet her, she'll give you a surprise." "Surprise?" Qin Feiyang had a suspicious look on his face. "I really can't tell you. When you meet her, she'll tell you personally," the weapon spirit said. "What exactly is this girl doing?" Qin Feiyang was a little annoyed and asked, "Are you sure she's not in danger?" The weapon spirit said angrily, "You must be joking. With me protecting her, how could she be in danger?" Qin Feiyang looked at the weapon spirit for a moment, let out a long breath, and smiled, "As long as there's no danger." The weapon spirit asked, "Then when are you leaving for the Sky Dragon Sea?" "After dealing with Yin Hui's matter," Qin Feiyang said. "All right then, I'll take a rest first." After the weapon spirit finished speaking, he returned to the Grey Castle. The Grey Castle also turned into a stream of light and entered Qin Feiyang's Qi Sea. "Surprise, I want to see what kind of surprise you will give me," Qin Feiyang laughed and muttered, then took out the image crystal. Buzz. Soon, a shadow appeared. It was Mu Tianyang. Mu Tianyang looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Are you going to the Sky Dragon Sea now?" "No. This time, I'm sending you a message to tell you a piece of good news." Qin Feiyang smiled. "What good news?" Mu Tianyang was suspicious. "As you expected, Yin Hui is not dead," Qin Feiyang said. "Is that so? Then where is she now?" Mu Tianyang was stunned and asked. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "I don't know yet, but I already have a clue, and I also thought of a plan." "What plan?" Mu Tianyang was curious. "A plan to lure Yin Hui out, but this plan needs your help. Once the plan succeeds, not only can we get rid of Yin Hui, but even the Yin and Jin families won't be able to escape." Qin Feiyang laughed. Mu Tianyang asked, "What about Elder Yun?" This person, Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, shook his head and said, "Elder Yun's life and death is not something we can decide. It depends on the attitude of the Nine Heavens Palace's big shots." "That's true." Mu Tianyang nodded his head. If the big shots did not pursue Elder Yun's responsibility, then no matter how much they prepared, it would be meaningless. Next, the two of them began to conspire. In the middle of the night, the entire Sky Dragon City had basically quieted down, and there were dark lights everywhere. "What? Jiang Haotian is dead?" Suddenly, a piece of news exploded in Sky Dragon City. The quiet city was instantly in an uproar. "I saw him on the street yesterday afternoon, how could he suddenly die?" "I'm not sure either. This news, I don't know if it's true." Everyone was discussing. "Then where did he die? Where's the corpse?" "It seems to be the Tianyua building." "As for the corpse, I'll have to take a look to know." "Then let's hurry to the Tianyua building to take a look." The so-called Tianyua building was the restaurant where Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess were at. At this moment, the Tianyua building was also in an uproar. A middle-aged man stood in front of a corridor, his expression extremely ugly. You must be the owner of the Tianyue building. Is Jiang Haotian really dead? In the hall, there were no less than a few hundred people gathered, looking at the middle-aged man and asking questions at once. The middle-aged man did not answer, his face as dark as water. Get out of the way. Suddenly, there was a cold shout. A woman in white, leading a group of guards, entered the Tianyue building in a mighty manner. Steward Shengguan. The middle-aged man hurriedly went forward. That's right. The woman was Shengguan Qiu. And the group of guards behind her, who were also the guards of the treasure pavilion, each of them exuded an aura that was no lower than a perfected Sir God. Shengguan Qiu said in a deep voice, "Where is Jiang Haotian?" "Upstairs." The middle-aged man said. "Bring me there immediately." Shengguan Qiu shouted. "Yes." The middle-aged man nodded and immediately ran upstairs. Soon, the two of them entered a room, the floor covered in blood. Shengguan Qiu glanced around the room and did not see Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess. He frowned and said, "Where is he?" "He's gone." The middle-aged man shook his head. "He's gone. Even if he's dead, there should be a corpse." Shengguan Qiu said angrily. "Please forgive me, Steward Shengguan. Please listen to me slowly. Not long ago, there was a sudden pressure in this room. Our waiter sensed the pressure and immediately came to inquire. But at that time, young Master Jiang said that there was nothing wrong and asked the waiter to leave. However, not long after that, another scream rang out. And it was young Master Jiang's voice. The waiter sensed that something was wrong and immediately ran over to check. Just as the waiter forced the door open, two black shadows took young Master Jiang's corpse and rushed out of the window. The waiter chased after them, but the two black shadows were too fast and disappeared in a few blinks of an eye. So now, we don't know where young Master Jiang's corpse is? The middle-aged man said. Damn it! A cold light flashed in Shengguan Qiu's eyes. The middle-aged man exclaimed, "Miss Shengguan, this has nothing to do with our restaurant. Please don't make things difficult for us." Shengguan Qiu looked at the middle-aged man with a gloomy expression. He turned to the guard standing outside the door and shouted, "Go and check it out immediately. Even if you have to turn Sky Dragon City upside down, you must find him." "Yes." The group of guards responded respectfully, then turned and left in a hurry. Chapter 2187. Time flew by. The sky gradually turned white. The news of Qin Feiyang's death had spread to Ninth Heaven Palace. Many disciples couldn't help but sigh. South City. In a huge mansion. Inside a certain hall. The door of the hall was tightly shut. Two people were sitting inside. They were Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng. In the middle of the hall, there was a corpse. It was bloody and unbearable to look at. The appearance and figure of the corpse were exactly the same as Qin Feiyang's. Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng didn't speak. There was dead silence in the hall. As time passed, the sun gradually rose from the horizon and everything came back to life. Swoosh! Suddenly, a white figure appeared in the hall out of thin air. It was a woman. She looked to be in her 30s. She had a good figure and was still charming. Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng immediately stood up and welcomed her with a smile. That's right. This woman was Yin Hui. How was it? We didn't disappoint you, right? Both of them looked at Yin Hui and smiled. Yin Hui said, "Although I'm willing to believe you, I still have to confirm it." Go ahead. Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng smiled. Yin Hui walked step by step towards Qin Feiyang, who was lying on the ground. She kept glancing at Qin Feiyang. When she was in front of Qin Feiyang, Yin Hui sized him up. Suddenly, she raised her arm and a wisp of divine power appeared. "What are you doing?" Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng looked at her suspiciously. Yin Hui's eyes were filled with resentment. She said harshly, "He killed my husband and my children. If I don't tear him into pieces, how can I vent my hatred?" As she finished speaking, the wisp of divine power turned into a light blade and slashed towards Qin Feiyang's corpse. In an instant, flesh and blood flew everywhere. In a short while, a whole person was chopped into pieces by her. The cruel means and bloody scene made Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng's scalp tingle. Phew! After a while, Yin Hui let out a long breath. The resentment between her eyebrows finally dissipated. "Yin Hui, we have killed him for you. Where's the vein of soul that you promised us?" Wang Dehai asked. "Soul line?" A look of mockery flashed across Yin Hui's eyes. She turned to Wang Dehai and Jiang Rushuang and asked, "Where is Jiang Fire Lotus, Jiang Rushuang, and Jiang Haotian?" Wang Dehai said, "Their fates will be even worse." "What do you mean?" Yin Hui was taken aback and asked curiously. Wang Dehai laughed. "They are accompanying our son now." "That's right. These two brats have gotten a huge bargain this time." Li Zhangfeng also laughed. "Huh," Yin Hui laughed heartily and said, "You've done well. But these three women must be killed after this." "Understood." The two nodded and urged, "Hurry up and give us the soul vein." "Soul line," she looked at the two of them and said, "That blood sword and his interspatial ring should be in your hands, right? And he seems to have a spatial divine item." "Yes." The two of them nodded. Yin Hui sneered, "After reaping so many benefits, you still want the soul vein? What do you mean?" The two of them raised their eyebrows. "Isn't the meaning obvious?" "Of course. If you insist on the soul vein, it's not impossible. But you have to exchange it with that blood sword." Yin Hui said. "You lied to us?" The two of them were furious. "You are stupid. How can I give you something like the soul vein?" Yin Hui sneered. The two of them were furious. "Enough. You didn't lose out this time. Be content. I have something to do. Goodbye." After Yin Hui said that, she opened an altar and walked up without looking back. "Bitch, you can continue to be smug. It will be your death soon." Wang Dehai and Li Changfeng stared at Yin Hui angrily, but they were laughing coldly in their hearts. Sky Dragon Sea. Above the coast, a woman appeared. Who else could it be but Yin Hui? She stood in the void and looked at the sea silently for a long time. "Wenhai, Zijuan, Zihan, father, I have avenged you. You can rest in peace." After a while, Yin Hui muttered and turned into a stream of light, entering the Sky Dragon Sea. She was very cautious. Along the way, she was observing to see if anyone was following her. More than an hour passed. An island came into her sight. The island was huge and she couldn't see the end of it. The island was covered with shrubs and weeds, making it look extremely desolate. Moreover, she could see the traces of sea beasts everywhere. The cultivation of these sea beasts were very powerful. The weakest one was a perfect god of war. Yin Hui scanned the sea behind her. Seeing that no one was following her, she entered the island and flew deep into it. After a few hundred breaths, she entered the center of the island. There was a village in the mountains below. The village was built with simple wooden buildings. There were about 500 to 600 people in the village. Apart from the elderly and children, the rest of the people were cultivating. Yin Hui landed in the sky above the village. Looking at the people in the village, there was a smile in her eyes. Following that, she took out a black jade pendant from her arms. The jade pendant was shaped like a crescent moon. It was as black as ink and exuded a mysterious aura. Yin Hui released a wisp of divine power and entered the crescent moon jade pendant. A black light suddenly swept out from the crescent moon jade pendant and shot toward the village below. However, before the black light could reach the village, a black barrier suddenly appeared in the air above the village. The barrier enveloped the entire village. After the barrier appeared, Yin Hui slowly descended. A door of light automatically appeared above the black barrier. Yin Hui directly entered the village through the door of light. After Yin Hui entered, the door of light slowly closed. The barrier also slowly disappeared in the air as if it had never appeared. Aunt Hui, a group of children who were playing in the village, immediately surrounded Yin Hui when they saw her. Looking at the group of naive and lively children, Yin Hui was also full of smiles. Hui. An old man walked out from the crowd and looked at Yin Hui with a hoarse smile. Father. Yin Hui stepped forward and bowed. This old man was naturally not Feng Yuan. He was her biological father, the patriarch of the Yin family. The old man asked, "How did it go?" "He's dead." Yin Hui took a deep breath and looked at the old man. Dead, the old man's gaze trembled slightly. This was a kind of excitement. He laughed loudly and said, "Good, good, I finally got my revenge." The old man's laughter alarmed those who were cultivating. Everyone opened their eyes. An old man in black in his 70s hurriedly ran over and asked suspiciously, "Old man Yin, what are you talking about?" The old man looked at the old man in black and said excitedly, "Old Jin, Jiang Haotian is dead." "He's dead?" The old man in black was stunned on the spot. Yin Hui smiled and said, "Uncle Jin, you're not dreaming. He's really dead." The old man in black was Jin Yinchang's father. "Dead, haha, he's finally dead, this damned beast, it's good that he's dead." The old man in black also laughed heartily. The other adults in the village were also beaming with joy. Only the children looked at them in confusion. What was wrong with these adults? Why were they laughing so happily? "Sister Hui, Jiang Haotian is dead. Can we go out? It's been a whole 5 years. We've been hiding here. I've really had enough." A group of young people looked at Yin Hui and said, "Not now." Yin Hui shook her head. "Why?" Everyone looked at her in confusion. Yin Hui said, "Because Mu Tianyang, Hua Yi, and Frenzy haven't been eliminated yet. Only by eliminating all of them can we leave this place. Then hurry up. These damned bastards caused us to be like this. We must not let them go." "That's right. Only by cutting them into 8 pieces can we vent our hatred." Those young people roared angrily. Those old people were also full of resentment. Hee, but suddenly a laugh sounded. This voice, Yin Hui was stunned and quickly looked around. Why was this voice so familiar? It seemed to be impossible. He was clearly dead. Swish! A figure appeared above the crowd. Who could it be if it wasn't Qin Feiyang? How could it be him? "Sister Hui, didn't you say that he was dead?" As soon as the people in the village saw Qin Feiyang, they panicked. Yin Hui's face was also full of disbelief. Was she dreaming? She rubbed her eyes hard and looked at Qin Feiyang again. Her expression was suddenly stunned. It wasn't a dream. Qin Feiyang glanced at the people in the village and looked at Yin Hui with a smile. "It's been 5 years since we last met. How have you been?" Yin Hui turned a deaf ear to him. Qin Feiyang's sudden appearance completely caught her off guard. "Didn't you want to kill me? Now that I've taken the initiative to appear in front of you, why are you still at a loss?" Qin Feiyang said suspiciously. Yin Hui clenched her hands and shouted hysterically, "Why aren't you dead? You still can't think of this? Qin Feiyang was stunned and shook his head. I seem to have overestimated your IQ. Yin Hui's brows were tightly knitted together. All right. Let me tell you. The corpse that you saw in Wang Dehai's house wasn't mine. It was a servant in Wang Dehai's house. Wang Dehai asked him to disguise as me and then he became my scapegoat. Qin Feiyang said. What? Yin Hui's body shook and she said angrily, these two damn things. How dare they lie to me? Don't blame them. They were forced to do it. Because if they didn't cooperate with me, they would have to die. Qin Feiyang smiled. Yin Hui said in a low voice, you saw through their intentions? Initially, I didn't. I almost died in their hands. However, I have a good character. I received help from an expert to avert this calamity. Qin Feiyang said. The expert he was referring to was naturally the weapon spirit. Expert? Yin Hui was suspicious. You don't have to care about this. Master, please help me subdue Wang Dehai and the rest. Then, I will kill their sons in front of them. They will be scared and confess everything. Then, I thought of a plan to beat them at their own game. I used an illusion to deceive you and followed you secretly to find your hiding place. In other words, since you activated the teleportation altar in Wang Dehai's house and left, I have been following you. When you returned here and activated the black barrier, I followed you in. Qin Feiyang smiled. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2188. Who's that expert? How dare you ruin my plans? Yin Hui roared. It's better that you don't know. Qin Feiyang laughed. What if I insist on knowing? Yin Hui laughed sinisterly and said, you're really bold to come here alone. Why? You didn't kill me last time and now you want to kill me again? Qin Feiyang said. You're right. And this time, you're the one who walked right into my trap. Yin Hui's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She soared into the sky like lightning and charged toward Qin Feiyang. Do you think you can kill me? Qin Feiyang sneered and said indifferently, what else do you want to see? Come out. Swoosh. Before he finished his words, two men and a woman appeared out of thin air. The woman immediately stood in front of Qin Feiyang and slapped Yin Hui. With a puff, Yin Hui flew out on the spot and blood gushed out of her mouth. There's someone else? Yin Hui was surprised. Mu Tianyang. Shengguan Fenglan. Master. But when she saw the faces of the three people, Yin Hui's face turned pale. Why were Master and Shengguan Fenglan here? I asked Mu Tianyang to bring them here. And since you appeared in Wang Dehai's house, they have been watching in the dark. Qin Feiyang said. Yin Hui's eyes trembled. They had been watching in the dark, didn't this mean that they already knew everything about her? Elder Yun looked at Yin Hui in disappointment and said, Yin Hui, do you remember what I told you 5 years ago when I sent you away from Jutian Palace? Yin Hui quivered and looked at Elder Yun. This old man wants you to forget your hatred. Take your Yin and Jin family members and find a place to live peacefully. But how did you do it? Elder Yun asked. Forget the hatred, Yin Hui murmured and smiled sadly. Master, I want to forget it too. But how can I forget such a deep blood feud? You still have reason. Although Feng Yuan, Feng Wenhai, Feng Zijuan, and Feng Zihan did indeed die at Jiang Haotian's hands, wasn't it all caused by you? Jiang Haotian only retaliated. What's wrong with that? Do you want him to stand still and let you kill him? Shengguan Fenglan shouted. When Yin Hui heard this, she could not help but tremble both physically and mentally. You're actually still so stubborn even now. Yin Hui, oh Yin Hui, have you let down your master's good intentions? 5 years ago, your master deceived everyone and saved you from right under our noses. In order to prevent us from finding you, we even gave you the heavenly domain divine stone. Do you know what kind of effect it will have on him if these things are exposed to the world? If the great elder finds out about this, what consequences will your master face? Have you thought about this? Shangguan Fenglan said angrily. Yin Hui was flustered. Alas! Isn't it good to live? Do you have to come here to seek your own death? Shangguan Fenglan sighed deeply. Plop! Yin Hui knelt in the void and looked at Elder Yun. Master, I'm sorry. I've disappointed you. Elder Yun sighed. Is there any point in saying this now? Yin Hui's body stiffened. She hurriedly said, Master, I don't want to die. Please, help me, Elder Yun said, this old man has already helped you once. Yin Hui begged, then can you help me a second time? Elder Yun, Hall Master Shangguan, I beg you, please give us a way out. The others in the village also knelt on the ground and begged. Including the children. Shangguan Fenglan looked at everyone, especially those pitiful children. She could not help but feel sympathy for them. She turned to look at Elder Yun and said, Elder Yun, why don't we? I object. But before Shangguan Fenglan could finish, Qin Feiyang spoke expressionlessly. Shangguan Fenglan turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang looked at Shangguan Fenglan and Elder Yun and said, I asked Mu Tianyang to bring you here not for you to sympathize with them, but for you to see their nature clearly. After that, Qin Feiyang looked at Elder Yun alone and said, especially you. You risked universal condemnation to save her, but how did she repay you? Elder Yun asked without turning his head, then in your opinion? I've always been a person with a debtor for every injustice. Originally, other than Feng Yuan's family, I didn't plan to attack the Yin and Jin families. They didn't need to hide at all. But because of your selfishness, Yin Hui escaped the net of the law. It's fine if she repents and turns over a new leaf. But she still hasn't changed. In the end, all of this was caused by you, Elder Yun, so you shouldn't ask me, but yourself. Qin Feiyang said. Elder Yun was silent. Mu Tianyang's eyes flashed, and he cupped his hands and said, Elder Yun, we respect you, and please respect us. The same mistake can't be made a second time. Elder Yun looked at Yin Hui, and after a long time, he sighed and said, yes, the same mistake can't be made a second time. Master, Yin Hui's expression changed. Don't call me master anymore. From now on, I don't have a disciple like you. Your life and death have nothing to do with me. Elder Yun shook his head. Yin Hui suddenly collapsed in the void, her face full of despair. Temple Master. Mu Tianyang looked at Shangguan Fenglan. Shangguan Fenglan sighed, walked to Yin Hui, and said, in your next life, be a good person. After saying that, she raised her arm, and divine power surged in her palm. But at this moment, Elder Yun, who had been motionless, suddenly turned and rushed to Qin Feiyang, then grabbed Qin Feiyang's neck. Mu Tianyang was shocked and shouted, Elder Yun, what are you doing? Qin Feiyang also glared at Elder Yun. At the same time, hearing Mu Tianyang's shout, Shangguan Fenglan was stunned, then turned her head to look, and her face was instantly full of surprise and doubt. Yin Hui and the people in the village below also had a look of surprise on their faces. But then, Yin Hui took out a dagger shining with cold light, and while Shangguan Fenglan was not paying attention, she angrily stabbed into Shangguan Fenglan's qi. Puff! Shangguan Fenglan immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, then looked at Yin Hui with a gloomy face, and anger rose in her eyes. Who do you think you are, to want to kill me? Now I'll kill you first. Yin Hui laughed, waved the dagger in her hand, and directly stabbed at the top of Shangguan Fenglan's head. You're courting death. Shangguan Fenglan said word by word, her murderous aura soaring to the sky, and her divine sense emerged like a torrent, exuding an aura of destruction. Although her chi si was destroyed, her divine soul was still there. As long as her divine soul was still there, her divine sense could be turned into a powerful trump card. Looking at Shangguan Fenglan's divine sense, Yin Hui's face suddenly turned pale. She was so excited that she forgot about Shangguan Fenglan's cultivation. Shangguan Fenglan's strength was stronger than Feng Yuan's, so how could she be defeated? Even if it was just her divine sense, it was enough to crush her. Shangguan Fenglan, stop! Elder Yun shouted at the critical moment. Shangguan Fenglan raised her eyebrows and used her divine sense to control her body to retreat a few feet, then looked at Elder Yun and said, "Elder Yun, what are you doing? Let her go." Elder Yun said expressionlessly. "Why?" Shangguan Fenglan said angrily. "No reason. Just let her go, or I'll kill Jiang Haotian." Elder Yun said. "You," Shangguan Fenglan was furious. The old man in front of her had always been selfless and was one of the people she respected the most in Jiutian Palace. But now, why did it become like this? Mu Tianyang said in a deep voice, "Elder Yun, you've been protecting Yin Hui time and time again. Aren't you afraid of angering Grand Elder? Aren't you afraid of going down in history? You don't have to worry about that. If Grand Elder really wants to blame me, I have no complaints." Elder Yun said. "Why?" Qin Feiyang frowned. He was willing to be punished and his reputation was ruined to save Yin Hui. This seemed to have gone beyond the boundary of the relationship between master and disciple. "I said, there's no reason." "Shangguan Fenglan, do you want to let her go?" Elder Yun looked at Shangguan Fenglan and said. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Shangguan Fenglan asked. Elder Yun nodded. "Okay." Shangguan Fenglan took a deep breath and turned to look at Yin Hui. "Don't appear in front of me again. Get lost." Yin Hui looked at Shangguan Fenglan and then at Elder Yun, then took out the black crescent jade pendant again. Whoosh! A black light flashed out, and the black boundary appeared again. But this time, there was no light door on the boundary, and it quickly collapsed. "Take the children and the elderly and come with us immediately." Yin Hui shouted to the adults in the village. "No one can leave." But at this moment, a cold and bone-chilling voice sounded. The person who spoke was Qin Feiyang. At this moment, he seemed to have changed into a different person. Not only was his body full of murderous intent, but his expression was also somewhat fierce. Shangguan Fenglan hurriedly shouted, "Jiang Haotian, don't mess around." "Who is messing around?" Qin Feiyang was so angry that he laughed. He looked at Elder Yun and said, "In fact, I have always respected you. Even when I knew that you saved Yin Hui, I didn't particularly hate you or blame you. But now I find that you are not worthy of my respect at all. I've disappointed you." Elder Yun said. "I'm really disappointed. If you could have simply killed Yin Hui just now, I wouldn't have made things difficult for the others. But your behavior made me very angry. So today, whether it's the people of the Yin family or the Jin family, none of them can leave alive. Remember, it's not me who is cruel and merciless. It's you who killed them." Qin Feiyang said. "Now that you are in my hands, I can end your life at any time. Do you have the ability to do so?" Elder Yun was still expressionless. "Don't be too confident. Because you are facing me, Jiang Haotian. Do it." Qin Feiyang shouted. "Do it?" Shangguan Fenglan, Yin Hui, and the others were surprised. Who was he talking to? A trace of suspicion flashed in Elder Yun's eyes. But they didn't know. At this time, there was a voice in Qin Feiyang's mind. "Qin Feiyang, are you sure you want me to do it?" "That's right. It was the weapon spirit. Yes. Qin Feiyang replied. The weapon spirit said again, are you really not afraid of bringing a fatal disaster to yourself? Qin Feiyang said inwardly, anyway, I've already left the ninth heaven palace. What's there to be afraid of? But I'm afraid of implicating Long Tianyu. Because once I appear, Shangguan Fenglan will know that you have been lying to her before. At that time, she will definitely interrogate Long Tianyu again. The weapon spirit said. Qin Feiyang said, don't worry, I will think of a way. Alright then. As long as you can guarantee Long Tianyu's safety, I will do as you say. After the weapon spirit finished speaking, a wave of death energy suddenly rushed out of Qin Feiyang's body like a volcanic eruption. Elder Yun, who was caught off guard, was directly sent flying as if he had been hit by a heavy blow. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Chapter 2189. What? Shangguan Fenglan glanced at Elder Yun, then looked at Qin Feiyang, her face full of shock. He actually injured Elder Yun? The people in the village below were all dumbfounded. Especially Yin Hui. As Elder Yun's disciple, she naturally knew Elder Yun's strength. It could be said that even Shangguan Fenglan, the palace master, was not Elder Yun's opponent. Even in the entire Nine Heavens Palace, Elder Yun's strength could be ranked in the top 10. However, at this moment, he was actually injured by Jiang Haotian? Was this a dream? Elder Yun himself was also extremely shocked. He never thought that this kid in front of him, in addition to the blood sword, actually hid such a terrifying method. Wait! Suddenly, Elder Yun's pupils contracted. Why was this death force so familiar? Shangguan Fenglan seemed to have the same feeling, and a trace of surprise appeared in her eyes. Qin Feiyang glanced at Yin Hui and sneered, don't you want to know who that expert is? I'll let you see his elegance now. Yin Hui was shocked. Listening to these words, this death force was not Jiang Haotian himself? What kind of expert was actually not a match for her master? Old Yun, little girl Shangguan, long time no see. Accompanied by a hoarse laughter, the grey castle rushed out from Qin Feiyang's body. It's you. The two's eyes trembled as they stared at the grey castle. The artifact spirit appeared, standing beside Qin Feiyang, and joked, yes, it's me. You, whether it was Shangguan Fenglan or Elder Yun, their eyes were filled with killing intent. The artifact spirit said playfully, it seems that all these years, you still miss me. Shangguan Fenglan's face sank, looking at Qin Feiyang, and said, didn't you say that in the far west? But before Shangguan Fenglan finished speaking, Qin Feiyang coldly said, is this still important? Bastard! You and madman are lying to me. Shangguan Fenglan said angrily. I'm sorry. Qin Feiyang said. I don't need your apology. I just want to ask you, do you know where it came from? You actually colluded with it. Shangguan Fenglan said in a deep voice. I don't know. But that's not important. As long as it can help me. For example, now that I'm facing Elder Yun's unreasonable behavior, at least I won't be beaten up. Qin Feiyang said lightly. You, Shangguan Fenglan gritted her teeth in anger. It's still the same. You have to pay the price for your mistakes. Artifact spirit, do it. Qin Feiyang said expressionlessly. Old man Yun, little girl Shangguan, Jiang Haotian didn't say that he wanted to kill you, so I won't attack you. But you'd better be tactful and stand there obediently. Don't interfere with their lives. The artifact spirit snickered. The power of death flooded the sky like a tidal wave, instantly enveloping the entire village. What is this? Why do I feel like my vitality and qi and blood are being drained away? Everyone immediately panicked. All of you, stop right there. Seeing this, Elder Yun was furious. His divine power surged out and punched towards the artifact spirit and Qin Feiyang. "You're really not honest at all." The artifact spirit smiled coldly. With a clang, his body shattered the sky and blasted towards Elder Yun. Boom! Accompanied by a deafening loud noise, Elder Yun flew out again, blood spurting out. "After so many years, you really haven't made any progress. You're still so weak." The artifact spirit laughed disdainfully. Elder Yun looked at the artifact spirit gloomily and suddenly said, "Shangguan Fenglan, immediately return to the 9th Heaven Palace and report to the Great Elder." "Okay." Shangguan Fenglan nodded. "Don't think about going anywhere." The artifact spirit snorted coldly. A gray barrier appeared in an instant. That's right. This was the domain of death that trapped Qin Feiyang and the madman. At that time, just this domain of death alone made the two of them despair. As soon as the domain of death appeared, everyone was shrouded in it. The power of death that robbed vitality also increased countless times in an instant. Even Shangguan Fenglan almost couldn't bear it. "Save me!" The people in the village, accompanied by desperate cries, fell to the ground one after another and died. Yin Hui was burning with anxiety and roared, "Master, quickly help us." Her vitality and vitality were also crazily draining. Her body had already shriveled up and her face was covered with dry wrinkles. Elder Yun was also extremely anxious. Looking at Qin Feiyang, he said, "Jiang Haotian, quickly make it stop." However, Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear. Elder Yun roared, "As long as you let her go, this old man will agree to do anything." Qin Feiyang frowned. He would agree to anything? What was the relationship between this old man and Yin Hui? "Jiang Haotian, you bastard, we'll fight it out with you." Suddenly, several old men with monarch god cultivation suddenly roared and rushed towards Qin Feiyang. Boom! Before they got close, their bodies exploded in the void. What? Yin Hui's face was pale. They actually self-destructed their bodies? Elder Yun's expression also changed abruptly. He hurriedly waved his hand and condensed a divine power barrier, enveloping Yin Hui and the people from the Yin and Jin families who were still alive. At the same time, Mu Tianyang also quickly rushed to Qin Feiyang's side. The self-destruction of a monarch god-level expert was not a child's play. With his perfect war god cultivation, he had no room to resist at all. So, he ran to Qin Feiyang's side. Because he knew that the Grey Castle would definitely protect Qin Feiyang. And protecting Qin Feiyang was equivalent to protecting him. However, Shangguan Fenglan and Elder Yun did not take any defensive measures. Their cultivation was too strong. The self-destruction of a monarch god was not a threat to them. Boom! Kacha! The moment they self-destructed, the destructive shockwave surged out in all directions with an earth-shattering force. Immediately, inside the death domain, the void was annihilated and the earth collapsed. Countless sea beasts on the island heard the commotion and fled in fear. Just as Mu Tianyang expected. When the air wave surged, the Grey Castle flashed and stood in front of them, shining with divine light. Whether it was Qin Feiyang or Mu Tianyang, under the protection of the Grey Castle, they were not harmed at all. What? The death domain is not broken? Suddenly, a cry of surprise was heard. The people in the village looked at the grey barrier that imprisoned them with disbelief in their eyes. They originally thought that the self-destruction of a few monarch gods would be enough to destroy the death domain. On one hand, the few elders wanted to die together with Qin Feiyang. On the other hand, they wanted to break the death domain and give Yin Hui and the others a chance to escape. But they never expected that in the face of such a violent impact, the death domain did not even shake. You think you can shake my domain of death with the strength of an ant? What a joke. The weapon spirit glanced at the group of people contemptuously. The power of death was surging and pervasive. Although the divine barrier set up by Elder Yun could block the fluctuations of the self-destruction, it could not block the invasion of the power of death. Ah, Sister Hui, I don't want to die, save me. Everyone looked at Yin Hui in despair. But Yin Hui had no other choice. She could only watch the people of the two families fall one by one. In less than 5 breaths, there were only a dozen people left in the barrier. The weakest of them was a half-step to the god realm. Their blood and vitality were more vigorous than the others, so they were still alive. But at this moment, they were already at death's door. Death was only a matter of time. Looking at the desperate faces, Yin Hui felt like a knife was being twisted in her heart. She turned to look at Qin Feiyang and shouted, "Jiang Haotian, the person who wants to kill you is me. It has nothing to do with them. Let them go. Gao Xiaowei has nothing to do with us. But why didn't your daughter Feng Zihan let her go 5 years ago?" Qin Feiyang said coldly. Yin Hui was unable to refute. She suddenly knelt in the void and shouted, "I'll kneel to you, okay? If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Yes. It's all my Feng family's fault. If you kill me, I'll die for them. Yin Hui said. Qin Feiyang said, "I'm sorry, but when I do things, I will never leave a source of trouble." The dozen people also fell down in despair one after another, basically turning into dried corpses. Yin Hui did not have the strength to speak again. Because there was not much blood and vitality left in her body. Despair and helplessness shrouded her heart. The Grey Castle was too terrifying. Even her master could not save her and her clansmen. "Old man Yun, she is your daughter. Are you really going to watch her die?" Suddenly, a furious roar was heard. Qin Feiyang, Mu Tianyang, Shangguan Fenglan, and the artifact spirit were all stunned. "Daughter?" Elder Yun's eyes trembled slightly as he looked at the person who spoke. The person who spoke was the head of the Yin family, Yin Hui's biological father. At this moment, he was also lying on the ground powerlessly. There was no anger on his face, but his eyes were full of anger when he looked at Elder Yun. Yin Hui also looked at the head of the Yin family in shock and said, "Father, what did you say?" At this moment, only Yin Hui and the head of the Yin family were still alive. As for the people of the Jin family, they were all dead. The head of the Yin family sighed and looked at Yin Hui. Actually, Elder Yun is your biological father." "What?" Yin Hui's body stiffened. Qin Feiyang and the others also looked at each other. Elder Yun was actually Yin Hui's biological father? Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and looked at the artifact spirit. "Wait a moment." The artifact spirit nodded. The power of death immediately dissipated. The scene was dead silent. Everyone had a look of bewilderment. Only Elder Yun lowered his head. He seemed to have fallen into endless self-blame and regret. A moment later, Shangguan Fenglan also finally came back to her senses. She turned to look at Elder Yun and asked, "Elder Yun, is this true?" Elder Yun looked up at Shangguan Fenglan and then at Yin Hui. He nodded and said, "It's true." Shangguan Fenglan was stunned. Qin Feiyang and Mu Tianyang looked at each other. There was a trace of realization in their eyes. Why would Elder Yun protect Yin Hui again and again? It turned out that there was such a relationship. However, this was not too unbelievable. Since Elder Yun was Yin Hui's biological father, then why was Yin Hui in the Yin family? You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.